All right. What's up, everybody? How we doing? Happy Monday. We got some stuff to talk about today, guys. It's gonna be a fun time. Um, gonna get back to the old school tonight. And play some Vampire the Masquerade. That's gonna be fun. Um, we've got several things I want to talk about, including what's going on with what we've learned from the January 6th situation, among other things. I did have a debate lined up, but it does sound like he is not going to be available, unfortunately. So just gonna have to deal with that. We're gonna have to fill in where we can. Um, yeah. How's everybody doing? Is it a good night for everybody? Had a good week so far, or good week? Oh, good weekend. Um, it's been a pretty interesting time for me. We did some D&D yesterday. That was fun, and we've been doing some arts and crafts for D&D, which is also fun. Um, just been trying to figure out new content for you guys and doing as much as I possibly can to come up with some great stuff for you. I've been putting out videos on YouTube pretty regularly right now, so go check that out. The new one that I put out today was a clip from a stream a while back about Joe Rogan. So that's fun. And we're going to talk about several things today. I've got some videos that I want to go over with you guys, including a Vaush debate, which is Vaush. I always say Vaush, it's Vaush. Vaush debate, which was with who I can only assume was a pedophile. Yeah, it's really interesting. Really cringe. Real cringe. So if you guys have a aversion to cringe, you may want to watch out for that one. It's gonna be fun, that's for sure. God, what else? There's just so much to talk about today, guys. We're gonna have fun. It's gonna be a good time. With that said, let's drop the intro. All right, and we're back. Yeah. So we're gonna just kick it off here. Hoping for some people to get on the stream right now. I know things have been hectic for quite a few people this week, but yeah, it would be nice to see y'all on here. Been trying to post on places more and get as much out as I possibly can. And today was running a little bit late, so I didn't get to put a notification up as soon as I would like to. But yeah, that's okay. We're gonna continue on and give out some great content and have some fun with you guys, whether it be in the recorded clips or right here on stream. So let's start it off, guys. We're gonna do the big story here first, that I wanted to jump into. So as y'all know, just recently it was the anniversary for the January 6th insurrection attempt. And I do say insurrection because that's what it was. They attempted a coup. So that actually happened by definition. It may have not been a shitty attempt at a coup, but it was an attempt nonetheless. So, whether it succeeded or not, still by definition, that's what it is. So we're going to get into this, guys. I wanted to kind of go over, let's see here. Dun, 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 dun. Well, window capture. My window's not popping up. There we go. Okay. So, here we go. So we're going to start off talking about this whole incident with January 6th with a tweet here from Lindsey Graham that I found quite interesting. So what Mr. Lindsey Graham from South Carolina, total piece of shit, says, what brazen politicization of January 6th by President Biden. I wonder if the Taliban, who now rule Afghanistan with Al-Qaeda elements present, contrary to President Biden's beliefs, are following this speech to be carried. Oh my God. Okay. Are allowing this speech to be carried. Oh. So this, I have no idea what the fuck this is supposed to mean. Like, I think he was trying to jump on Biden about pulling out of Afghanistan because Lindsey's a war hawk and he wants us to be constantly killing brown people. I guess that's kind of the thing that's going on here in this bottom part. But what I really wanted to talk about actually was the top part there, which, oh my gosh, the top part which states that Biden politicized the January 6th insurrection, coup attempt. Okay. It's inherently political. It's inherently political. It was done at the Capitol. It was to stop a democratic election from going through, a free and fair election from going through. It was involved several politicians as well as several people who were followers and backers of those politicians, including Trump and his administration. And so for him to say I'm going to have a hard time saying this word, politicization of January 6th, that's absolute, yes, of course it's politicized. That's what it was all about, was politics. It was about the election, about democracy. Those things all have to do with politics. There's no reason whatsoever that he should be mad that this was politicized, because it's definitely political. What's up, Derbshot? I didn't care for either candidate, but the process continuing is critical to our country's operation. Yeah, and that's the thing, is the more like misinformation they put out there, the more doubt they put in people's minds, the bigger problem we're gonna have. Okay, I think my gain's a little bit high here. The bigger problem we're gonna have. Let me get into this and I'll show you what I mean here. So this was just a start. Like, automatically, you know that they're reaching for anything they possibly can, because it was political. The whole thing was absolutely political. Take this down a little bit. There we go. And so, yeah, that's exactly what happened, was a politicization of it, because it's a political event. It was surrounding everything political to do with the election. So let's move on here to show you how involved these guys, how involved the administration and Trump supporters that were in office were in cahoots, how much they were involved in the actual coup attempt itself. So right here, Trump justified his supporters calling to hang Mike Pence at the Capitol riot, saying it's common sense in new audio. Okay, this is it really happened. This is audio that was recorded during an interview by Trump. All right, so Trump justifies his supporters' calls to hang then VP Mike Pence during the Capitol riot. An audio obtained by Axios, ABC News' Jonathan Karl said to Trump they were saying hang Mike Pence. Trump is heard responding, because it's common sense, John. It's common sense to hang your vice president. Yeah, that's a little weird. So, get to the meat of this. Excuse me. In a March interview from former President Donald Trump, justified his supporters calling to hang... let me start that over. I'm having a bit of a problem with my mouth and lips today for some reason, not speaking correctly. In a March interview, former President Donald Trump justified his supporters calling to hang his former Vice President Mike Pence during the Capitol riot, according to audio obtained by Axios. The audio is from an interview that ABC News' Jonathan Karl conducted with Trump. In it, Karl pressed Trump about some of his supporters' chants as they stormed the Capitol on January 6th. They were saying, hang Mike Pence, Karl told Trump. Trump responded, because it's common sense, John. It's common sense that you're supposed to protect. Then Trump repeated his baseless claims that the 2020 presidential election, which he lost to Joe Biden, was fraudulent. He said, how can you, if you know a vote's fraudulent, right? How can you pass on a fraudulent vote to Congress? How can you do that? And I'm telling you, 50-50. It's right down the middle for the top constitutional scholars when I speak to him. This is an out and out, complete and utter bullshit. Like, this is a complete lie. Nobody thinks this, because there were over 60 court cases which threw out everything, and most of these judges were Trump appointed judges, and the court decisions for these all came up against Trump and his administration when they tried to steal the election by suggesting that there was fraud in state-to-state elections, that there was fraud, that people were voting for dead people, and that votes were being hidden and found in a river, and on and on and on. They tried all of these different things, and not one judge, even though most of them were appointed by Trump's administration, decided that this was truthful, and ultimately decided that they could not do anything to prevent Joe Biden from becoming president, because he won in a free and fair election. That's how it went. He won. Joe Biden won. I'm not a big fan of Joe Biden myself. I think he's done a pretty weak job, in my opinion. He talks a big game, but he's done a really, really weak job of what he's been doing. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of Joe Biden, but he won the election fair and square, and he's definitely, in my opinion, a much better candidate, a much better president than Donald Trump. And that has a lot to do with the fact that Biden isn't blatantly trying to bring fascism into America. He's not blindly trying to become an authoritarian, or like trying to become an authoritarian and take over this country in a way that even third world countries would be upset about. He's trying to ruin and erode democracy. So there are quite a bit of interesting things that came up in this interview with him pressing that, saying it, pretty much saying it's okay for his followers to threaten to hang Mike Pence with a gallows out in front of the Capitol building. Derpshot says, fraud is almost non-existent in our process. There's only fraud or miscounts when someone is losing. Both parties have done it, but Trump tried to undermine the system by saying mail-in votes didn't count and supported disdain for our democratic process. Yes, the whole thing with the mail-in votes, it's not like we just decided to do mail-in votes all of a sudden and just so that Trump would lose. There was a fucking pandemic going on, guys. A dangerous disease, that wouldn't allow people to go out of their houses necessarily and stand in long lines with lots of people. Not only that, but there is nothing wrong with mail-in voting. People have been able to do mail-in voting for quite a while. People who can't get out of their house, who may be invalid and can't, travel outside of their home to vote, things like that. It's complete and utter propaganda to say that those are a way, that mail-in votes are a way to steal the election. It's absolute, just hogwash. And we have better senators and Congress members in place to keep the president in check regardless of who won. Not by much, but still better. That's the thing, though, that I'm scared of, is that they're so good at releasing misinformation and scaring the American people in society right now that there's a good chance the Republicans may end up winning again and being in a better place to overturn the election and ruin democracy as a whole. So these are things that can happen if we have the wrong people in place. And because of Biden's incompetence and the incompetence of even members of the Progressive Caucus not being able to fight for Biden's agenda, they appear weak. They appear they've done nothing. And so, therefore, people are going to, swing back to the other side because we don't have much of an option in a two-party system, do we? It's absolutely ridiculous. So, going on a little bit farther into this, memo shows Trump's lawyer's 6-step plan for Pence to overturn the election. This was a lawyer trying to come up with a legal coup attempt to ruin and subvert the election process in the 2020 election. This is a thing. This really happened. So, a conservative lawyer working with then President Donald Trump's legal team tried to convince then Vice President Mike Pence that he could overturn the election result on January 6th when Congress counted the Electoral College votes by throwing out electors from 7 states, according to the new book, Peril, from Washington Post journalists Bob Woodward and Robert Costa. The scheme put forward by controversial lawyer John Eastman was outlined in a 2-page memo obtained by the authors for Peril, and which was subsequently obtained by CNN. The memo, which has not previously been made public, provides new details showing how Trump and his team tried to persuade Pence to subvert the Constitution and throw out the election results on January 6th. The effort to sway Pence was just one of several behind-the-scenes attempts that Trump's team undertook ahead of January 6th in a desperate bid to overturn the 2020 election loss, after dozens of lawsuits were thrown out of the courts. Peril, which will be released Tuesday, details how Eastman's memo was sent to the GOP Senator Mike Lee of Utah and how Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani tried to convince fellow Republican Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina of election fraud. Both Lee and Graham scoffed at the arguments and found they had no merit. Yet, Lindsey Graham, as we saw right over here, seems to have bent the knee a little bit. Seems to have bent the knee back over to Trump. It's ridiculous and it's gross, but he will do whatever he thinks in his best interest. And most of them will. Most of the politicians will do whatever they think is in their best interest, even if they don't agree with it. Lindsey Graham is one of the most skeezy, weaselly, snakish, worst politicians I've ever seen in my life. He is a horrible human being and shouldn't be allowed to breathe air or touch grass, let alone help run this country. You might as well make your case to Queen Elizabeth II. Congress can't do this. You're wasting your time, Lee said to Trump's lawyers, trying to overturn the results in Georgia according to the book. The Eastman memo laid out a 6-step plan for Pence to overturn the election for Trump, which included throwing out the results in 7 states because they allegedly had competing electors. In fact, no state had actually put forward an alternate slate of electors. They were merely Trump allies claiming without any authority to be electors. So this wasn't even their job. They didn't even have, this was not something that they had power over. These weren't official electors. They were just people saying they were going to be. Under Eastman's scheme, Pence would have declared Trump the winner with more electoral college votes after the 7 states were thrown out at 232 votes to 222. Anticipating howls from Democrats protesting the overturning of the election, the memo proposes Pence would instead say that no candidate had reached 270 votes in electoral college. That would throw the election to the House of Representatives, where each state would get 1 vote. Since Republicans controlled 26 state delegations, a majority could vote for Trump to win the election. It was a coup attempt, my friends. A coup attempt. Straight up insurrection. And it seems that nobody seems to want to hold any of these people accountable for this. They don't want to do anything about it. They don't want to have these people realize that they are committing crimes against democracy. They really are just letting everybody get by with it, off scot-free, for trying to subvert the American people and their right to vote and to subvert a free and fair election. It's ridiculous and it's scary. In many, many, many ways, it's scary. So, going on, the plan was first proposed to Pence when Eastman was with Trump in the Oval Office on January 4th, during one of Trump's attempts to convince Pence that he had the authority to stop the certification of the election. "You really need to listen, John. He's a respected constitutional scholar. Hear him out," Trump said to Pence at the meeting. Woodward and Costa write in peril. In the memo, Eastman went so far as to suggest Pence should take action without warning. The main thing here is that Pence should do this without asking for permission, either from a vote of the joint sessions or from the court, Eastman wrote. The fact is that the Constitution assigns this power to the vice president as the ultimate arbiter. We should take all of our actions with that in mind. And you know what? That's a loose interpretation of the Constitution, by the way. That's not what it says whatsoever. It maybe could be interpreted that way if you're completely ignorant to the goals of the founding fathers and the goals of this country. But no, it's not something that can be done. In the end, Pence didn't go along with Eastman's scheme, concluding that the Constitution did not give him any power beyond counting the Electoral College votes. He did his own constellations before January 6th, according to the book, reaching out to former Vice President Dan Quayle and the Senate parliamentarian, who were both clear in telling him that he had no authority beyond counting the votes. When Pence refused to intervene, Trump turned on his president, attacking him on Twitter, even as the insurrection at the Capitol was unfolding on January 6th. The memo could be of interest to the House Select Committee now investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol, which recently requested documents from the National Archives that specifically included communications involving Eastman. I'll tell you what, guys. I'm speechless at this, that our country is coming to this. It's absolutely insane. And then you've got Flynn, that's Donald Trump's former chief of security, national security, basically said that we should do a Myanmar situation here and take over the government with the military by force. And this is a former general and a former chief of national security. Ridiculous, guys. Unbelievable. And this is all things that have happened. This is ridiculous. So, as I was saying, with that, let's go ahead and take a look at a video here that I'm going to pull up, because this is something that pertains to the government being taken over by the military, or at least the military breaking down in their chain of command. Let's see here. Here we go.
Battles that we have to win.
That's funny. These guys are all Blue Lives Matter. It's the irony of seeing somebody who probably owns a Blue Lives Matter shirt screaming "fuck you, police," while trying to basically trample them and get into the Capitol.
Some people that just haven't been educated, they haven't been found out, and they've grown empowered through perhaps inaction on the parts of some of our key leaders. And we need to do what we can do now to identify those people, get them out of our ranks, and train the rest of the force on Civics 101 about.
A new NPR Ipsos poll finds that 64% of Americans believe U.S. democracy is in crisis and at risk of failing.
Yeah, I'm surprised that number isn't higher, to be honest.
Sentiment is felt most acutely by Republicans. 2/3 of GOP respondents agree with the verifiably false claim that voter fraud helped Joe Biden win the 2020 election, a key pillar of the big lie.
Which, again, nobody has any evidence of whatsoever that the election was stolen. That was all thrown out in court by judges appointed by Trump and his administration.
That the election was stolen from former President Donald Trump.
Hey there, Har.
Fewer than half of Republicans say they are willing to accept the results of the 2020 election, a number that has remained virtually unchanged since January. Nearly 2/3 of poll respondents agree that U.S. democracy is more at risk now than it was a year ago. Among Republicans, that number climbs to 4 in 5. Overall, 70% of poll respondents agree that the country is in a crisis and at risk of failing. So these numbers that we just went over are extremely significant, because it shows that pretty much everybody across the board, no matter what their political affiliations are, have diminishing faith in the structure and the fabric of our socioeconomic system. People don't believe that the public good is being taken care of. People don't believe that their needs.
I think it's been a long time since people have. It's just, instead of knowing the reasons why, people latch onto things and latch onto these lies that they get told by the right, that it's immigrants and that, the Democrats are the ones trying to take all your money through taxes and things like that. It's been a thing that's been going on forever, and the thing is why it's so easy to believe is because there's truth to the fact that the government's inept, that they don't know how to do anything, or that they're corrupt, because even on both sides of the aisle you have corruption due to politicians being bought and paid for by the very wealthy and powerful and corporations across America and across the world.
Needs are being looked at. no matter if they're Republican, Democrat, Independent, or anywhere in between on the spectrum, even if people have nothing to do with politics and don't know anything about it. And what this shows is that people just won't be satisfied no matter what, pretty much. No matter who wins, there's going to be a very, very large portion of the country that is not satisfied or that doesn't want to see that. This also means that the federal government, well, local government too, but especially federal government as a whole, just simply doesn't work. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't pass anything. You know, people, before we
That's
get...
what I'm talking about. There's no action. They're inept. They're completely inept. It's like a gear, you know, when a gear turns only one way, right? And it'll click around the latch, right? But when the gear tries to push in the other direction, it's stopped by that latch. So imagine the latch is the Republican Party and the gear is the Democratic Party. The gear will always be allowed to move to the right, but never to the left. It's never allowed that way because the Democrats wholly, you know, there are some exceptions within the Democratic Party. Some of the Progressive Caucus, not all, but some, are basically controlled opposition. They are put there in place so it will make the people think that there's an opposition to the craziness that the Republicans try to pull. And then the Republicans also use scapegoats and strawmen such as immigrants and the LGBTQ plus community. They use BLM and all of these different things to demonize so that they can make themselves the Mr. Potato Head. They use all of these things so that they can demonize and make it much easier for the people to be swayed in their direction because they have a big boogeyman to fight.
Get to the level of, do people have faith in the democratic process? People don't have faith that their representatives are going to do anything about their issues. You know, if people believed that our politicians went to Washington and really tackled policy issues, if our politicians went to Washington and tackled education, tackled healthcare, tackled wage issues, tackled the social safety net, tax problems, did something about diminishing our military presence around the planet. If these things were truly taken care of, then people wouldn't feel this way. And so, as we move into 2022 and 2024, no matter who wins the elections, there's going to be a large portion of people who simply don't want to believe it. And we saw that this sentiment is held even further and even more with Republicans, even more on the right.
So let me explain what this is doing to the military, guys. So the military ideologically among the ranks especially has been split because there are quite a few people who believe the stuff that QAnon and Trump and a lot of other people say about the election. And there are actually literally people in the militaries now saying that they don't know if they're going to take orders if something like this happens again, that they may just side with one side or the other. And that is dangerous. That's really dangerous. That could turn our military on each other. That could make it so that one part of our military is fighting the other. And it's not just during or within the rank and file. It's also with some of the generals. You see, like I said, well, a lot of them are retired, like Mike Flynn, you know, but then you got Mark Milley, who is, you know, trying to quell some of the craziness. But, you know, that's what we got going on.
So we're really in for some troubling times. We're really in for a hell of a time, because we're going to have to deal with people's lack of faith in the system before we can even get them to have faith that it can fix anything. So there's so many battles that we have to win and so many battles that we have to fight. But ultimately, I really believe that we can do it.
Yeah, so there's that. This is also very, very, very scary.
Organizers of the Stop the Steal rally that preceded the deadly Capitol attack on January 6th allegedly communicated with members of former President Trump's family and administration, according to Rolling Stone magazine. Multiple sources told Rolling Stone that Kylie Kremer, an organizer for the rally that took place at D.C.'s Ellipse Park, had an aide buy 3 burner phones a few days before January 6th. Kremer said that it was, quote, of the utmost importance that the phones be purchased with cash, one source who was a member of the March for Trump team told the magazine.
Ah, there we go. So, this right here, guys, is just unbelievable. So, organizers of the Stop the Steal rally that preceded the deadly Capitol attack on January 6th allegedly communicated with members of former President Trump's family and administration, according to Rolling Stone magazine. Multiple sources told Rolling Stone that Kylie Kremer, an organizer for the rally that took place in D.C.'s Ellipse Park, had an aide buy 3 burner phones a few days before January 6th. Kramer said that it was of the utmost importance that the phones be purchased with cash, one source, who was a member of the March for Trump team, told the magazine. So this was their people talking about this, not even Democrats or anybody opposing them. Kramer kept one of the phones herself, while another was reportedly given to her mother, Amy Kramer, who was also an organizer of the rally. Sources could not say who the third phone was given to. According to Rolling Stone, the phones were used to communicate with high-ranking members of Trump's inner circle, including his son Eric Trump, daughter-in-law, and former campaign official Lara Trump, former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, and former Trump surrogate Katrina Pearson. Speaking of when Kylie Kremer bought the phones, the March for Trump member said, this was when the planning for the event on the Ellipse was happening. She needed burner phones in order to communicate with high-level people, is how she put on it. So why would they need burner phones? Why do you think that would be the case? Why would they need phones that they could easily get rid of and weren't traceable if they weren't doing anything suspect or illegal? Why would that be the case? It's because they were all working together in order to make sure this thing went down the way it did. And then afterwards, Mark Meadows and I think it was Hannity from Fox News, as well as Donald Trump Jr. were all trying to stop it because they didn't realize how crazy out of hand the thing was going to get. And realized that it wasn't working in their favor. And so therefore they basically were trying to get Donald Trump to denounce the violence and speak with his supporters and tell them to go home, which he would not do for over 2 hours. He basically told them no over a period of 2 hours and watched it and reveled in the fact that his followers were causing such mayhem. I'll tell you what, guys. This is a really bad situation. And there's another election coming up. And when this election comes up, it's not the presidential one, but you're probably going to see a lot of stuff go down. You're probably going to see a lot of people angry and a lot of people trying to do everything they can to make the election sway in the way of their team. So therefore, you're probably going to see some violence. You're probably going to see people, things erupting into giant protests turned riots and things like that. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw that on the midterms, but I am almost positive you'll see it for the 2024 election. We need to start nipping this in the bud now, guys. We need to stop this from happening right now. or else our democracy is going to completely die. Is that what you guys want? I don't think so. So make sure you're staying active. Make sure you're doing what you need to do to make sure that the solidarity of our democracy across all parties withholds, and that we can save this country and stop authoritarian rule from taking over. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that. So that was we'll cut it there. That was a really do I agree with blue no matter who? Okay. So the thing about blue no matter who is it's almost a loaded question because here's the thing. You only have two choices. So when you say blue no matter who, 9 times out of 10 that choice is going to be better in my opinion, just because the Republicans are so out there at this point, as far as the leaders of the Republican Party are so out there and so ready to trade democracy for fascism, that there's not really a choice in the matter. If we had more than a 2-party system, there would be a choice. So when you say blue no matter who, I know that a lot of people say, oh yeah, well you could vote for the Green Party, or you could vote for, you know, an independent. But honestly, if you're especially if you're in a purple state, which, you know, we're in a purple city, but if you're in a purple state where it could go either blue or red, voting for a third party in the system that we have, the way it is today, is throwing away your vote. Period. Because there's no way in this society that they will even allow someone like that to be put through. I mean, even with Bernie's not, you know, he registered as Democrat when he was running. But they know that he's not your typical Democrat. They know that he has ideas that are leaning towards social democracy and the scary socialism word. You know, they know that he is really, really out there fighting for the working class people and will do anything he can to take down the corporate interests and the rich and powerful that basically keep everybody bending a knee in this country to them. So even with Bernie, who registered Democrat, was stopped by his own party because most of them are corporate shills and don't want things to change drastically. They don't want an end to corruption in government because they're making as much money off of it as many of the Republicans are. So therefore, Bernie got stopped both times in the primary, no matter how close he got. Same thing happened with the socialist mayor that was running for mayor in New Jersey. She won the election, the primary, against the opponent, and then the opponent ran anyways, even though independently, even though she won the primary, and ended up winning because he had backed by corporate interests and things like that. Same thing happened to Nina Turner in Ohio. In Ohio, she was winning by a large margin, and then the Republicans, not only Republicans, but corporate Democrats and Republicans and corporate interests and many other groups that are corrupt, decided that they were going to fight on behalf of Nina's opponent and started a smear campaign against Nina, saying that she was for the exact things that she was against, and ended up convincing the masses to change their vote. And basically, she won by the opponent won by a small margin. And this continues to happen. We not only do that in our country, but if we see that there's progressives winning in other countries, we'll start a coup or a regime change war in other countries to prevent anything but capitalism or anything from our idea of how the world should work from getting through and making any headway. And that's typically how things work. And with our two-party system, there's real no way to get through that. I really think that there is a way to get through that. There are methods which we can use to get through that, but they're never going to pass through Congress the way that things are right now. We need people, we need leaders in the Democratic Party itself. We need to infiltrate the Democratic Party and change things from the inside, as well as fight from the outside in the grassroots with protests and things like that. Because the way things stand right now, nobody's going to vote to get rid of the filibuster. Nobody's going to vote for ranked choice voting. Nobody's going to vote to raise the minimum wage. Nobody's going to vote for Build Back Better, because we're split down the middle, first of all. So one or two Democrats that are basically Republicans can stop the whole agenda from happening. And then we're back to square one with the Republicans in charge, because people get pissed off that the Democrats are in office and not doing anything, that they can't get anything done because they don't have any fight in them, because they don't really want anything done. They want a status quo. The Republicans want things to go more and more towards the right, but at least in generally, the Democratic Party doesn't want things to move. They want, it's like even with Joe Biden, he was talking about we need to get back to normalcy. We haven't had normalcy in this country since before the Reagan era. So, yeah, there's that's my two cents on the blue no matter who thing. Is that it's a misnomer. It's a scapegoat, because it's a way to demonize people for voting for Democrats, even though they say that they don't necessarily like those Democrats. It's voting the lesser of two evils. It seems divisive. There's great candidates on both sides. Voting mix doesn't work. Not a problem. Oh, so I just out of curiosity, I'd like to know who you think is a good Republican, who's on the right that you think would work for the people in general. But yeah, we should. Yeah, you need to dig on that one. Yeah, there's few and far between. I think there's people who will every once in a while vote their conscience when they see the country coming to such a turmoil that it may end the country, like Liz Cheney, for instance. But she's not a good person. Mitt Romney's not a good person. So it's really hard to find. I mean, there's the way you do things really right now is to vote Justice Democrats is a good place to start. Voting for people who do not take corporate PAC money. Vote for people who do not take donations from corporations and will not be beholden to those corporate interests. That's the first thing. That's your first step to knowing if you should vote for somebody or not, is if they're bought and paid for. If they're bought and paid for, it's really hard to vote for them. And if both options, since there's only a two-party system in this country, if both options are bought and paid for, you vote for the person you think's most going to vote their conscience instead of for their own interests or for the interests of their donors. And that's really, really, really all you can do at this point. Well, yeah, that was a fun conversation. I really enjoyed that. So we're going to move on, though. We got some other things to talk about that I wanted to go over with you. Oh, boy. Okay. I hadn't quite decided what I wanted to do yet, but I do want to go over this debate. I'm going to try to speed it up a little bit because it is an hour and 3 minutes for this debate. but this really shows the craziness of human beings in general, I guess, but like people on the internet, how vile opinions can spread on the internet, and how people can twist information and twist certain points of view to make them as disgusting as possible. This is Vaush. I keep saying Vaush. Vaush. In his debate with, I think it was Mr. Girl is the name of the guy. So let's take a look at this.
Hello.
Howdy.
Howdy. Do I
Howdy,
sound
howdy.
okay?
Yeah, you sound fine. What's up?
I don't know. What's up with you?
And we're going to watch a little bit of Metroid here too. That'll be fun.
Not much. Playing Metroid Prime, which is a fun game. So, you know,
Yeah.
in that respect,
I
things are
played
going well.
I played that a little bit when it came out, but I never beat the whole thing.
Nice.
I did just beat Metroid Dread though. That's pretty good.
We're struggling with it now, you know.
Yeah, those
as an
games are
adult,
tough.
Styling on our performance as a young one. Anyway, what do you have on your mind today?
Well, well, first of all, are we going into this with preconceptions of each other? I have preconceptions of you, obviously, but where are you? What's our relationship like right now?
Well, my only preconceptions of you were that you emailed me saying that our opinions might differ on the subjects of gender theory, BLM, and pedophilia, which
Yes.
definitely has, you know, which definitely elicits some preconceptions. I've got to say, a bit of curiosity.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so gender and pedophilia, and yeah, oh my gosh, this is gonna get crazy, guys. I've watched this once before, and I just had to talk about it.
Yeah. It was a saucy way to introduce myself.
Well, hit me up with your introduction then, in an entirely different way then.
Okay, so I'm Mr. Girl. Some of you may remember my Cuties review. I think that's the thing I'm most well known for last year.
Oh, son of a bitch! Yeah, I remember that.
It got me banned from YouTube for 4 months.
Yeah, I bet a lot of people reported that one. That's,
It did. They said they reported me for having child porn on my channel, and I guess YouTube takes that pretty seriously, as they should.
It seems like he added that in as an afterthought, as they should. The cuties thing was, I believe, that that Netflix show about child pageants. I think that's what it was.
Absolutely. And then, yeah, they just ban you and like check it out later, I guess. But it took a long time to get my channel back.
Oh, welcome back.
Thank
Unwarranted accusations on their part, then, I hope.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so my channel is, yeah, it's just like a political commentary, and like I saw Cuties and like just wanted to dive in, obviously.
That sounded creepy as was. Just wanted to dive in. This guy's a weird.
Don't clip that,
weird
anybody.
Right.
So my channel is about empathizing with people who have different political beliefs from you. So empathizing across party lines and trying to understand the parts of yourself that you don't like. Wait, am I on camera?
You are on my camera, yes.
Okay. I'm just checking. I'm like trying to figure out what's going on. Yeah, so empathizing across party lines, accepting the parts of yourself that are ugly or difficult or that you hate, to have more empathy for other people. So pedophilia was obviously like an interesting topic for me. I
bet it is. Fucking weirdo.
brought it up a couple times, and I'm planning like a much bigger video on it, because that's one where people have a really hard time. Like they really want to distance themselves from humanizing pedophiles. And
For good reason.
your channel, some stuff.
We're gonna
Oh yeah,
speed
also
this
I'm a
up a little
rapper.
bit.
I just came out with a rap album.
Also, I'm a rapper.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's being pretty well received by my core audience, but we'll see how people react to it beyond that. your channel is pretty partisan.
Yeah,
So-
I'd say so.
and it's almost designed to be a pipeline, like kind of the way you talk and interact with people,
Yeah, I would say
right?
so.
Like
as
you're
well.
trying to draw people towards your view.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely.
And so,
Right.
and my channel is kind of the opposite
A little bit
of
faster.
that. I'm not trying to drive people away from my view, but it's more about like convincing people to understand and empathize with and kind of humanize those that they disagree with the most. And so, we're sort of opposed just in terms of approach, and then I think also our beliefs are our values are different too.
Probably. I don't think there's anything antithetical about the positions, though. After all,
Oh,
even
boy.
if you despise a person and their positions, you have to humanize them because otherwise you alienate yourself from the potential of adopting those views in the future.
Check.
So, for example, if you completely
check,
otherize
check.
or dehumanize, say, fascists,
check.
you make it as though they're not human. Well, unfortunately, humans turn into fascists. So if you treat them in that way, people adopt the impression that, for example, the Nazis are some entirely otherworldly thing.
Yeah,
that it's
why
not
would
really a
you
human
want to
issue. It's some
associate yourself with
magical
that?
evil that, snatches
Yeah.
people in their sleep. So you need to be more nuanced than that so people can understand these problems take root in all of us.
That anyone can be turned into a Nazi given the right circumstances.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yes, but I think from what I've seen, and tell me if I'm misinterpreting, that you also believe that there's sort of a balancing act of giving, if you give air to Nazism by empathizing with it, or I guess I just think that you speak very dismissively of ideas that you disagree with, particularly.
I think that we're supposed to not empathize with Nazis. Basically, it boils down to hate. If somebody's going to like spread hate on people who have immutable qualities, like qualities they can't change about themselves, that's automatically going to be a red flag. You want, and there's a thing called the tolerance paradox, right? So if you're tolerant against intolerance, you're going to create intolerance that's going to overcome the tolerance. You can't do that.
Particularly ideas that you super disagree with, like Nazism.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. No, yeah, you can
right.
speak dismissively of the ideas, but you have to recognize that however malicious the ideas, they can take root in people. And I suppose you can be sympathetic to the circumstances by which a person comes to adopt them, if for no other reason than because that sympathy can help you.
I like that point. Like, you can be sympathetic to the background of the person that put them in a place where now they're believing in that sort of thing. But as far as their ideals in the present, I don't think that you have to empathize or justify those in any sort of way.
You challenge those ideas, but not the
Right.
ideas
So-
themselves.
No, I think we do have pretty different values. All right, there is a brief intersection of cordiality where there is moderate disagreement, but it sounds like past that you're comfortable saying fuck Nazis, and I'm not. And then it also, our end goal is different, where I'm not trying to bring people toward my corner to the extent that I even really identify as having a corner.
What is your not corner, then?
Like, I can tell you my stances on various policies, but I think I'm hesitant to really give it a name, even that feels sort of antithetical to what I'm trying to do, right? Like, I kind of want everybody to be an independent in a sense.
Yeah, because that'll get stuff done. If everybody just agrees with each other that anything goes. I mean, this guy has no logical basis for what he's believing. Like, that everybody should accept everybody else's old ideas no matter what they are. What? That would make it so that nobody really had any morals, really, or any. Though it would make the whole world amoral.
Or a centrist, I guess, where centrist meaning in that you have your stances on individual issues are formed based on your real values and beliefs, and not of those around you, and not from social or political pressure. So I lean into controversial topics on my channel, especially because that's a place for me to sort of like, one, have something interesting to say that other people might not feel free to say or be willing to say. And then two, it kind of just helps me prove like my meta point of like, you can say, this stuff. And the more of us that speak our minds and don't cave to the pressures of our political groups or our friends or neighbors or whatever, the more free we all are.
Maybe. I'm not value neutral about it, though. I would much rather prefer people cave completely to hegemonic values if they're good ones than freely adopt bad values.
Exactly my point. Yeah, like, it's not going to help if we're all just going to accept bad ideas just because somebody has them. There has to be some thought put into it, some critical thinking, some empathy. As I've said many times already on this show, we have to think about other people's freedoms, and what the outcomes of our beliefs are going to be.
I don't think we have to make that choice, though. I think if you have the right information and the right guidance, people can freely arrive at good positions.
Yeah, but you're talking them into it. So freely is
You have to talk anyone into anything, don't you? I mean, there's no, bipartisanship.
I guess I'm saying I'm trying to talk people out of stuff, and you're trying to talk people into stuff.
You can talk people out of stuff as well, if it's transphobia or racism or whatever. But of course,
But that's also talking them into. You're trying to move them to a specific location, and I'm saying I'm trying to actively not do that.
You think there's something wrong with pushing a person?
Why? Why are you actively not trying to not do that? That makes no sense. Like, why would you not want, if you believe wholeheartedly in something and you believe something is right in the bottom of your chest and the from the tips of your toes to the top of your head, why would you not try to make sure that idea was known and stand for it?
Person towards anti-racism?
Yeah.
Why do you think so?
Well, it depends on how you're pushing them, obviously, but I think that Trump and the anti-SJW, anti-woke movement now is a sign that what we thought was working didn't work that well. That we were only giving the appearance of anti-racism and pushing people to give that appearance, and now they don't want to anymore. And I think that's very understandable, and I have a lot of empathy for the backlash. And
what is the backlash rooted in?
What, like white grievance?
Well, white grievance has been around for a while. You had that back in response to the civil rights movement and stuff even before then, abolitionism. They formed the KKK because of abolitionism, after all. I mean, it seems like the blowback you're referring to is an inevitable product of any kind of civil rights push.
I don't think the current backlash is inevitable. I don't even know if the backlash to abolitionism isn't. Freeing the slaves didn't go that well. Like, there's probably.
What the hell is wrong with this guy? It's gonna get crazier and crazier as it goes along, guys. I'm telling you.
Probably a better way to have done this. I would say that like a war is a good metric for like that rollout didn't work.
Well, it wasn't really a rollout. We had to kill a bunch of folk.
Well, I'm saying maybe we didn't have to.
Well, how do you figure that? The South started.
So I don't
war.
know what we're also the folk that were killed for Americans.
Well, I'm grouping us into anti and pro-slavery here, which I'd happily consider myself part of the we that had to kill them. But
okay, but you see, my theoretical approach to this is entirely different from yours, whereas I think of the South as the we as well.
And what?
Wait, okay. My head's starting to hurt. This guy is talking just because that I think the point he's trying to make is that just because we all live in the same country, that we all have the same exact values or should have the same exact values. So we should accept people who want slavery. I think that's what I don't know.
What about the slaves? Where do they fit?
They're also the we.
Well, don't you think the we that is the slaves might actually be okay with the fact that we had to fight a civil war to free us?
Yeah, that's my problem. I guess that's what my whole that's why I've come to talk to you, Vaush. That's exactly what I want to talk to you about, because I don't I have problems with that. I have problems with righteous anger, righteous violence, righteous killing. It's the same problem you have with people thinking they can never be Nazis. That I think that if you're going to take a life or take many lives, being circumspect about it is important, and looking back and saying, like, the Civil War was not ideal. It obviously would have been better to convince people.
Ideal. I mean,
yeah, we don't live in a perfect world where everything's going to go down exactly the way you want it. That's just not the way things are. There's people are different as snowflakes, and there's ideologies that stretch from one end of the spectrum to the other. There's not going to be a way to where everybody's going to agree, especially when there's the fundamentalists on each side that are the loudest in a lot of occasions.
I mean, if you want to look back over everything in history and argue whether or not it was ideal, well, sure, it wasn't ideal. Nothing's ideal.
Well, I didn't mean to present that as a binary. I'm saying it went badly.
Well, yeah, they wouldn't give up their slaves. They left the Union.
No, but see, I'm saying if you look at it from my perspective, there's no they. It's just that we were trying to make a change, and we made the change, which was a good change. I'm not pro-slavery, and I'm not anti-abolition, but the way we did the abolition turned out to kill like hundreds of thousands of people, or something, like 150,000 or 500,000, like a bunch of people, right?
Not as many as the cost of slavery. How would you have solved things then? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, how many people died as far as slaves? I think it's the thing that we should think about is taking action that do the least harm and give people the most amount of freedom. And I don't think that there was much more of a way to change things, change slavery than what happened when it went down in the Civil War. I mean, I'm sure, if we studied every intricate detail, that we may be able to save a few lives here and there, but for the most part, war is messy, life's messy. That's not something that we're going to be able to do, and you should fight for what you believe, and you should fight for the rights of other people.
I mean, they left the Union,
Again, you're presenting as, what I'm saying is the dichotomy of continue slavery or end slavery the way we did it. I'm saying I reject that.
Just how would you have done it?
I would do what I'm doing now. I would try to get people to humanize each other. I think if you can...
I think that you'll find the slave owners of the South were not amicable to your particular approach. I think they were quite set in...
Absolutely. The slave owners didn't humanize. They actually dehumanized their slaves as a point of contention. Like, that's what they did. Like, they said that the slaves weren't human, so why should we give them up? That was their whole thing.
No one's you're not amicable to my approach, and you're far from being a slave owner. No one's amicable to my approach.
Let me ask you more explicitly. Okay, so with regards to the war effort, we could have fought the Civil War or not. Mind you, the South started it. So it's not as though the North had prompted it. Hold on. So if you were there, I mean, you can say, "Oh, I would have convinced him to stop slavery." But if you want to do right, okay, sure, then you could have convinced Hitler to not do the Holocaust, and I
would have done that too.
So is there any utility to your position here, or would you have just been sort of a time traveling?
So not only is this guy like completely amoral, but he also has delusions of grandeur.
Preventing all these atrocities that somehow the world's best statesmen weren't able to prevent in their time.
I don't think that you're being very fair in your setups for these questions.
Saying that you would have debated them out of slaveholding is kind of an odd way of going about it, no?
Well, I only said that because you made me say it. And you want me to keep saying weird shit? You can corner me into saying whatever you want. Yes, I would be a time-traveling saint. And I've traveled here to you, Vaush. I'm here now to work my saintlyhood, and you're going to bear witness to it. And it's going to change your life.
Wow.
Then convince me, if you
well, I don't want to convince you. Okay, we can talk about that, but I just want to acknowledge what's happening here. First, I'm just trying to introduce myself, and I'm trying to compare my approach to these general problems to your approach. And then you've led us down this path where now you're saying this incredibly complex thing, a war, with a million different factors leading into it. Then you say, well, what would you have done? Which is a trap. Anything I say, you can point to the other 99,000 factors that caused it and say, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And then we can play ideological whack-a-mole. But I don't want to do that. One, because I don't think debate is particular. I don't want to debate you.
Well, I just don't see the point then of discussing some historical event and saying, if your commentary on this is why I would have preferred a nonviolent solution, I'm sure a great many would have. My issue is that, as is the case with, sure, if it could be done, I don't think it could be. That's the issue. I don't think anyone else.
Yeah, so it's an idealism thing. That's fine. So my point is not to convince you or anybody that there was an alternative. My point is to say, I think there's a different lens through which we can look at historical events that is less us versus them, less good versus evil, with always positioning myself as the good, which you just admitted is not necessarily a good idea to always do that. And to say, what if we look at the way the slaves were freed? In one lens, you can see it as a great success. And in another, you can see it as a momentous failure in how that was accomplished. And I think it's a little self-protective to say, well, no, that's the only way that could have happened.
Well,
I don't know that that's true.
The issue is that what you're saying is meaningless. If your prescription here is that any historical...
There's no utility in what he's saying whatsoever.
If your prescription here is that we should approach viewing these historical events through the understanding that there was a better way, you could say that about anything under any circumstances. Any set of interpersonal or geopolitical circumstances could have gone better than the way it does. Nothing is ever
Absolutely,
perfect.
absolutely. You can always do it better.
So
my problem is that we do not look at it through that lens.
Everybody looks at it that way. Nobody in the ramp up to the Civil War was thinking, all right, there's only one way of doing this. We're doing the Civil War, we're not doing shit. Nobody thought that way.
I'm saying looking back.
Looking back, there is no point in thinking of other ways things might have gone through the lens of, well, what if we talked them out of it? Because that didn't happen.
Yeah, there's no reason to do that. Like, I mean, hindsight is 2020. You can't change the past. Do we have a fucking time machine? Can we do anything about it?
People tried, you know. They tried. They left the Union. They made state constitutions specifically enshrining the right to own black folk. I mean,
I don't agree that there's no point in looking back at past events in your life, interpersonally or globally, and thinking about what you could have done better.
Well, what could they have done better leading up to the Civil War?
It's the same thing you just tried to box me into. You know all of the vectors that pushed us exactly where we went, and I agree with you in a sort of fatalistic sense. There was no other way because there's only one reality that can happen, and that's the one that did. And so any factor I say, well, what if we nudge this one this way? You're going to say, well, what about this, and this? And it's a debate. I don't want to debate you about that specifically. If you want to I don't
really understand what he wants then. Like, what does this guy want? What's he trying to... He's just trying to get his amoral position put out there without any, like, pushback whatsoever. It doesn't make any sense.
What is the value difference?
That I believe in taking a narrative that we all have, that we're all raised to believe, that abolition was a success.
What is a success?
Do you agree with the premise that the Civil War and the freeing of the slaves is generally viewed by Americans as a good thing that happened?
It was better than the alternative, sure.
Yes.
Do you believe that Americans generally believe that there's a dichotomy of the alternative, continuing slavery, and what happened, war?
Yeah, because that's the dichotomy. Again, like, what do you want kids in history class to go, well, it would have been better if they'd settled everything peacefully?
Yes,
okay,
exactly.
Yeah, it's just that's such a stupidly naive thing to say that
it doesn't make any... Yeah, we can't go back on that.
I feel silly even repeating it. It's like, well, of course, obviously, yes.
Well, your delivery was not very... courteous to me, but that is what I'm
better
saying.
If they could have just, if there'd been no war and if everything ever could have gone well. But I don't understand what utility looking at this. It doesn't bring us any better understanding of the events at hand, certainly, because it's not pertaining to any specific fact set. You're just talking about it in the abstract. Maybe things could have done better.
You see, from my point of view, if I'm looking at a country that is increasingly polarized and divided, we agree that that's happening.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm talking to various political people, and I have my own tiny little platform, my soapbox. That for me, if I'm worried about violence breaking out in the street and people increasing animosity that people have been taught historically must lead to violence, or it will lead to their worst fear. It will lead to slavery. It will lead to the Holocaust. It will lead to Jim Crow laws, or gay people being stoned to death, or I guess conservatives are afraid of the same things, but happening to white people or happening to Christians, or of de-recognition, or being having communism, they're having their rights taken away, or whatever. Those are the things that they're afraid of. If everybody approaches this with,
see, okay, right there, we're just what he said right there is true. It's very true. That's the way that people kind of view things, but it doesn't mean that there's no objectivism in it, and it doesn't mean that there's going to be an alternative which will present itself if everybody realizes that, because I think everybody realizes nobody wants, I'm sure there are people out there who want violence, but nobody wants, or not, most people don't want things to end in violence. They want to find the most peaceful way out of situations for the most part, I would think. But there are a percentage of people who are antagonistic and like to exacerbate situations that do want those sorts of things, and that's mainly just because they're bored or crazy, one of the two. But
lens, which I believe is a false dichotomy, which you're saying is just historical truth, then you can see the utility for me of bringing up various events like the Holocaust and saying like, turning it over and being like, maybe the way that the Germans were defeated, or that the Jews were, what remained of them were freed, didn't go that well. Like, we won, but like 50 million people died.
What superior military strategies would you have employed on the Western Front to have mitigated the loss of life?
Yes, I understand. I understand. It's the same thing you just did with the Civil War. I understand that you are well versed in all of the factors leading up to war, and that any one that I choose, you will bring up 20 more. That's not my point, though.
If you're
my
interested in the mechanisms by which you could avoid large-scale conflict altogether, I think those are worth looking at. But I don't think you have to, I don't know, pontificate alternate histories in order to arrive at that. Right. If you don't want there to be another civil war, then that's fine. But then the question is, well,
I don't want there to be
it?
another civil war.
Well, then how do we avoid that then? I don't want another civil war.
Well, I think that dehumanization is a necessary step in war, and what I'm concerned about.
But that's how the World War II started, or how we at least got into it, or the tactics that the Germans used and the Nazi Party used was dehumanization. We were trying to stop the dehumanization, sort of. Some people, we were a pot calling the kettle black because we were still doing segregation in this country and whatnot, but they were trying to commit genocide, and dehumanizing people. We tried to stop it as the Allied forces, and the Allies did what they had to do in order to save, Jews from being completely annihilated, the Jewish people from being completely annihilated from the face of the earth. So,
as I see that happening, when people disagree about political topics, I'm not specifically pointing a finger at you, but I think the discourse on all ends, particularly the further you are toward whatever side you're on, becomes increasingly punch Nazis. Fuck Antifa,
punch Nazis.
BLM's a terrorist organization. Whatever the talking points are.
Do you think that rhetoric is comparable?
Yes.
Yeah, it's not the same thing though, because it's about intentions. Nazis will blatantly say their intentions is to secure the white race and to get rid of other races and things like that. Their intentions to that was the intention of Nazis. BLM, they want equality. They want to stop being killed by cops. They want to be on an equal footing and to have the same freedoms and liberties. It's not. There's no comparison there.
How so?
It reads like war propaganda. I just think it's the same thing that you have to convince people of in order to convince them to kill another person. And I don't think we should be doing that.
Well, should it come down to it?
That's why pedophilia is so attractive to me. Because
I bet it is. You fucking weirdo. Jesus Christ. Yeah, this guy gets real creepy real quick.
They're the most dehumanized group. And so if I can get people to empathize with pedophiles, if I had my time machine, this is what I would have fucking been doing before the Civil War. Then if you can empathize with a pedophile, you can empathize with anybody. Or a Nazi. I guess the right hates pedophiles and the left hates Nazis.
I think that disliking pedophilia is a fairly bipartisan affair.
Yeah, I think
at least both groups play it.
I think, I hate pedophiles. I'm sure there's Republican friends of mine who hate pedophiles, even though we don't agree on many things. I think we could agree on that.
There's a hyperfixation. There's a fixation. I don't think the right likes fascism either, but there's a fixation on the right with pedophilia.
Oh no,
there's a fixation.
No, a lot of the people on the right do like fascism. That's their. Do you notice? I notice this all the time. How people on the right will say all kinds of bad things about socialism and communism, blah blah blah. That's socialism. That's communism. That's evil. Blah blah blah. You never hear them say a word about fascism because they know they've fallen directly into that camp a lot of times.
Left with Nazis.
I think that these are largely incomparable, in large part because, first of all, I think a lot of the right's opposition to it is projection, a la QAnon. And second of all, I think that opposition to Nazism is quite justified in almost any form that it takes, constrained only by pragmatism. In fact, I struggle to imagine a scenario in which you would not want children being raised to the tune of fuck Nazis, young people taught why they should hate Nazis in school. Seems like an extraordinary virtuous thing to instill in people.
Yeah, well, because of the
Antifa,
reason you
on the
just
other
said
hand-
yourself. Because if you are raised to say fuck Nazis, you're being raised to believe you are not and cannot be a Nazi.
No, I think it's possible to hate Nazis while being sort of understanding of the sociological precursors to it. You know, what leads to it, what internal traits to fight against or to...
Right. We're not talking about their fucking origin stories here. It's not like, you know, like, we're not... It's like the Joker, man. If the Joker was a comedian before he went down the deep end, went off the deep end, went down the rabbit hole and became the Joker, that doesn't mean what he's doing now is wrong, and we shouldn't condemn the Joker. You know, what it means is that yes, he had some bad things that happened to him. So what we need to say is not only should we condemn the Joker, but we should also condemn the systems that created the Joker. Not just, oh, well, we should still like the Joker because of the guy he was before that, you know. It's again it's personal responsibility too, taking personal responsibility for your actions, even though you've had some turmoil in your life that may have affected you and made you think in a different way. See, I mean, I've had lots of things that have been done to me or that I've been raised in that should make me super religious or racist or whatever, and I am not any of those things because I can think for myself, and I realize I created a philosophy or live in a philosophy of mine that we need to have empathy for our fellow man, but we also need to realize that we should have as much freedom as possible without infringing on other people's freedoms, and we should have critical thinking when we philosophize about what's right and wrong and what's morally gray and what's not, you know.
When I see hate groups, the groups who hate Jews or black people or gay people, I do not see the kind of socio-political, economic empathy that you're describing there.
Yeah,
To
because I
me,
don't think those are comparable. There's no sociological justification, not prescriptively, for hating Jews, black people, gay people. There's a very good one for hating Nazis. Actually, there are quite a few. So I don't
no,
think...
but I'm saying that if you hate black people, if you especially say black looters, that hatred is usually not accompanied by a complex understanding that were you a black poor person with the same social and economic and political pressures on you, you might actually do the exact same thing. To me, hate and empathy are mutually exclusive. I guess just that maybe it's just a semantics thing, but
Again,
I think
yeah, you should understand the things that brought a BLM looter, rioter to do those things, the anger and stuff behind it, but you don't condone the actions. You don't condone, you know, burning someone's business down or something. Like, you don't condone that stuff. Now, I kind of thought the burning of the police station was kind of cool. That was poetic justice, but that's besides the point. The point is that you condone those actions because they're wrong. You know, there's no gray area there. You don't do those things. Now, that doesn't mean you can't understand the reason that those people had the anger enough to do those things, and that, albeit doesn't necessarily justify those things, it can help you understand them.
raising people to hate Nazis precludes raising people to empathize with our boogeymen.
I think you can empathize with the circumstances by which people become them, but I think there's something categorically different between bigotry against black people or Jews and hating Nazis, in that, at least by the normative standards most people hold themselves to, you can logically justify hating Nazis. Opposition to or even violence against them is something that you can construct philosophically and defend at academic levels if you want to. For black people and Jews, that just doesn't track. It's usually biases or just emotional hatred that really justifies their beliefs.
Well, I don't think that's true. I think there are legitimate reasons to dislike black people or Jews statistically.
What the? Okay, there's reasons. There's reasons to like people for dislike people for those immutable characteristics. I gotta hear this.
Well, I think it comes down to a combination of being taught to hate, taught to not empathize, and then taught to I guess just a lack of empathy and a channeling of blame onto those people. I'm not
Oh,
saying
that I don't disagree with, but that can't be prescriptively justified.
But
you could only say like why somebody is that.
well,
but you
that's what I'm
couldn't
saying. Is
argue in favor of it.
the mechanism by which you're saying people should be raised to hate Nazis is the same way people are raised to hate blacks and Jews too.
Not at all. They're very, very
No.
different.
I guess we might have to just agree to disagree. I believe if you tell your kids to hate somebody, they probably will.
Well, then how can you prescriptively justify hating Jews or black people? So not explain why people.
Yeah, that's he's. It seems like he's dodging the question. Like, why would those people be hated? You know, why? Like, what reasons do people have to hate them? Now, you have reasons to hate Nazis because they hate others, and for no reason whatsoever, and they would try to annihilate those people if they could. I don't see anybody from the Jewish faith or black people as a whole saying that they want to annihilate white people or whatnot.
People hate it because that's a sociologist's job. Why are people the way they are? But prescriptively argue. Why should they feel this way or the other? How could you do that with a minority group? Because I can do it easily with Nazis. Nazis' political views make it actually quite easy to hate them.
If you, any group of people is going to do things that make it easy to hate them.
Prescriptively?
I don't think it. I don't know what the difference is here because you could just look around and see any group you see. There's going to be a fuck ton of people who hate that group, and if you ask them why, they'll be able to tell you why. And some of the things they'll say will be true, and some of the things they say won't be true. But
what if they so I guess what I'm asking you fundamentally is, do you think there's a difference between a good thing and a bad thing, or a good argument and a bad argument?
I don't think there's a difference between good hate and bad hate.
Okay.
I think that's where our disconnect is. So you think it is okay to not empathize with Nazis and to hate them, and I don't.
A slave's hate for his master, then, is to you the same as the master's hate for his slave?
No.
You just said that, though. You just said that, though. He just said that.
They're not the same because you just changed the roles, so they're not the same at all. Of course they're not.
That's hate.
I'm saying
in both cases there's hate between them. Is that not the same?
That's not a fair question.
Is it? I thought you just said that all hate is the same. I'm sorry if I misunderstood.
No, I said I don't think there's a difference between good hate and bad hate.
So do you think those are both bad hates?
Yeah.
Okay. But you think there's a difference between them?
A difference in how easy it is for me to empathize with one versus the other? For sure. It's a lot easier to empathize with a slave hating their master, obviously.
I feel like your association between hate and empathy is tenuous at best. I think it's possible to hate something while still being empathetic. In fact, I think...
Yeah, those things are not mutually exclusive. Yeah, he's definitely going back and forth. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. I can hate a Nazi and have empathy for the fact that he was put into a situation where he became a Nazi. But, that doesn't mean that he has a right to do the things he's doing now.
Empathy can actually enhance hate to an extent because it demystifies the person and it makes you more familiar with, or at least more receptive to, why they might be what they are, which can only throw the terrible nature of their choices further into the limelight. I don't think there's necessarily...
do you have empathy for white supremacists?
By empathy, what do you mean?
It doesn't matter what I mean. We're both using the word already.
No, it does matter because you're trying to pigeonhole a certain perspective there. It does matter.
Well, now my question is do you have empathy for white supremacists? And you're asking me why, because you're going to say, do I have like a scientific neurobiologist like dissecting understanding of them? And like I know you have that, but my question is, do you care?
I'm not as educated as you seem to think I am. There are a bunch of characteristics associated with empathy, some of which I feel for white supremacists and some that I don't. So empathy in that I understand they're humans with fallible decision-making systems. Empathy in the sense that I know if born in the wrong family in the wrong time, I could have had the beliefs they have, certainly. But empathy...
You care about them.
Yeah, I have to. You have to change their minds. But empathy, I think to you, I think you can have empathy for the Nazis as you bombed Dresden, I think that you could have empathy for the slave master while you break, his farming tools over his head and steal his clothes. I think you could have empathy for your oppressor as you slaughter them. I don't think, to me, maybe my definition of empathy is different from yours. It's a consideration of their humanity. But humans do things sometimes that make them worthy of death, at least in our open conflict. I mean, if not through the judicial system. So we have different definitions, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think that's much of a hindrance. I don't believe that people do things that make them worthy of death.
being able to dismantle an ideology is one thing, having empathy is another. Dismantling hate groups' ideas and figuring out what brought them to it is different from feeling for those groups. Yeah, exactly.
I don't believe in the death penalty.
Not judicially, I agree with you. I think there are better ways there. But, you know, if Auschwitz-Birkenau is being staffed by Nazi guards who will open fire when Allied soldiers approach, I don't see any reason why it's morally wrong to crack a few off before you even approach the camp.
Yeah,
or knowing,
absolutely.
for example, that there are supply lines that are, you know, feeding the Western Front that you could bomb and save yourself the trouble in the long run. There are plenty of things that you could do that are justifiable and involve death that are not judicial in nature. Warfare, the Civil War. I mean, they started that war, after all. Kind of brought it on themselves a bit.
And I think it would be better to admit to yourself that you're probably killing a large number of people who don't really deserve to die.
Sure, but deserving there is kind of a tricky word.
Yeah, I mean,
the better
okay,
question
so
for me is there a better alternative which hurts fewer people? And with regards to the Civil War, my belief there is no. I think that by the time the North committed to military action, that was the best possible option. And likewise with Nazi Germany, we should have started off way earlier with that one.
Yeah, absolutely. We stayed out of the World War II much longer than we should have. I think that things would have gone way differently if we would have gotten in a little bit earlier, you know. But I guess it worked out the way it's supposed to. I mean, if you believe in that sort of thing, if we would have gotten involved earlier, there may have been more Americans that have died, but there probably would have been less of the other Allied troops that would have died. Could have ended earlier. We don't know that for sure, but there's definitely some speculation towards that fact.
In fact.
So I understand that's your belief, but do you understand mine?
Well, I think that yours is inapplicable.
Yeah, by his idea, therapists working with the Nazis, supporting Nazism. That's that's a very good point. You know, just because you can empathize doesn't mean you support the ideals of the person that you're empathizing with. You know, trying to understand.
Mostly, I don't know how you can make decisions if.
Well, whether you think it's stupid or naive, I'm asking, do you understand it?
Understand.
Do you understand? Do you understand? Yeah. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
I understand where you're coming from. I don't know how it can motivate your decisions, though. Like, I don't know what choices it would lead a person to. Like, how would it influence their behavior?
My behavior?
If you had control over things, you know, I mean, if you had some meaningful power and you could influence the world. I mean, we all do, of course, in our own way, but maybe more. You know, there's never really the ideal option. There are shades of gray. And for me, it's just a matter of what the least gray shade is. I don't think there's an alternative. I feel that way about voting. I feel that way about ethics broadly. So, you know, do I wish things could have been better? Sure. But I know that there's probably not much utility in fixating on that past the point of no return. Right now, we don't need to have a civil war in the United States, right? I mean, we don't have to, I suppose. But one might happen, maybe. And if it is, then we should be ready for it, shouldn't we? And if it's not, then we should do what we can to prevent it. But I don't think people are gunning for it as though it's a foregone conclusion, at least not yet.
Do you care about white supremacists or other extreme political opponents of yours beyond your ability to make them into you or like you?
Yeah, I would care about then their ability to hurt me. And
yeah,
the people I care about.
Do you? I'm talking about
because if you can change them, they can't do the damage that they're doing to others.
Captain Planet, Care Bear, Power Rangers care. You know what I'm asking you?
Care about?
Do you care about them the way you care about like a stray cat on the street?
I suppose. I hope they have good lives. I don't think there's any utility in their suffering.
But do you have an emotional care? Do you know what I'm asking?
It's just an emotional do
I don't know.
feel for them? I suppose. I mean, they languish, I guess, in their ignorance. I think that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I don't know how relevant it is. I mean, do you laugh? Do you not think they're ignorant with their white supremacy?
I think that if we were like dating or something, and you said, Max, do you care about me? And I said, you languish in your ignorance. I don't think you would say like, oh, he cares. So it's not a.
But it's a totally different
white supremacist. You know.
That's a totally different kind of thing.
That's not my point though.
That's a totally different kind of relationship, right? So like, of course, like you wouldn't. When you go to date somebody, it's going to be somebody that you can share things with and be closer with and be on the same wavelength with. You wouldn't date a Nazi if you were against Nazism. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Derpshot, putting yourself in the shoes of anyone metaphorically allows you to gain an understanding of why they are the way they are. Even the most controversial people in history, I think there's more power to that than outright calling for them to be lynched without looking into it. Criminal trials attempt to do this. Yeah, I mean, that's why we have a legal system. If his framing to this conversation was different, he would likely be a more effective contributor. Yeah, I don't get what the point he's trying to get at.
I'm saying do you care? I feel like the answer is no.
Well, I mean, caring has a lot of definitions, you know.
I'm using the one where you care about like a younger sibling, or you care about an old man who's trying to find a seat on the subway. Like the kind of care where, you know, it's not a close interpersonal relationship, but you care about their well-being and you want what's best for them.
My interest in their suffering begins and ends at points where I think it's politically expedient. Anything past that, and I don't benefit at all from them being hurt. And as a general rule, I prefer people to be happy.
Okay. Do you see the difference between that and me saying like I care about Nazis and I care about their feelings and I want to, you know?
Well, it really depends on their feelings, I suppose. But the nebulousness of the term care is doing a lot of work here. I mean, you
can just see that I'm much more warm and fuzzy towards my political enemies or whatever than you are. Like just generally, we can acknowledge that, right?
I think my political enemies well deserve the scorn, you know.
Yeah.
Right, and so you see how that. So again, this is all just part of my introduction. That's the antithetical to what my channel is trying to do. I'm trying to say, give me your Nazis, give me your radical Antifa terrorists, give me your Muslim terrorists, give me your white supremacist, whoever's the furthest out, whoever thinks they're the most hated, pedophiles, everybody's welcome. Let's sit and talk. That's my channel, and it's not about trying to.
So talk about what? What do you want to talk about?
It's not about turning.
Are you going to talk about your favorite sandwich recipes? Are you going to talk about the fucking last episode of America's Got Talent? Like, I mean, what the fuck are you going to talk about? You're just going to avoid the fact that that their ideologies are what they are? Do you just ignore that altogether? I mean, yeah, baking show with a Nazi. Woohoo. Like, I mean, what the fuck?
People against each other, and it's not about winning. So all that's just to explain where I'm coming from. Do you still want to discuss one of these three topics?
I'm not going anywhere. Sure.
Well, I was more asking if are you going to eject me, or are we?
No, I'm not ejecting you. I just don't know. I mean, you know, you can
not yet.
No, I distinguish critically between good things and bad things. I actually think that's a very, very important distinction.
Yeah.
And
I think I don't as much.
Right. Well, I guess that's a way of thinking of things. Sure. Yeah. With that in mind, though, I have no idea what kind of prescriptive statements you could ever make on any issue if you don't distinguish between good and bad things and just sort of ubiquitously believe all people deserve consideration regardless of the morality of their positions. I don't know where you'd go from there.
I guess that's just not my compass by which I would make prescriptive statements.
So what is your compass?
Or have preferences. I guess I think more of it as preferences.
I don't know. Oh yeah, it's just a preference to want to kill Jews. It's just a preference to want to own black people. It's just a preference.
If I see somebody riding their bike and then somebody says, "Do you want that person to get hit by a car?" I will say no, because I don't want it. It's not a philosophical stance. So I don't. Well, let's just see what happens.
Yeah,
so do you want to pick one of these topics? Should we let the chat pick one?
No, dealer's choice. What do you have the strongest opinions on?
I don't think I'm the dealer, but I get what you're saying. Well, I just talked to Destiny about gender for a long time the other day.
Well, then perhaps out of respect for the people who watch both of our channels, the poor bastards, you should talk about BLM or something else.
Something else, meaning pedophilia.
Or that.
He really wants to talk about pedophilia. He really, really wants to talk about it.
Yeah, I think your stances on pedophilia are going to be more controversial than mine. If you're still sticking to there shouldn't be, what'd you say? I've seen no moral or legal argument about why child porn should be illegal.
No.
And a lot of people think I'm a pedophile. So I could do like a little PR repair by arguing against you there.
I think that my views on the subject are quite a lot less controversial than most people believe. I think I was making a very spicy argument against unethical commodity consumption that has been wildly misinterpreted, such as life.
Oh yeah, I know what argument you were making, but I've heard two quotes. Okay, let's.
So basically, he had said that if you're going to buy shoes from Nike, which were made from the blood and sweat and tears of basically enslaved children, then you should be okay with pedophilia too. He wasn't saying that either one of those things were good by any means whatsoever. He was just saying that, like, hey, if you're good with one, why aren't you good with the other? I mean, that's fucked up, you know? Like, both of them are fucked up. And it got turned into this whole thing that he supported pedophilia, which is
talk about pedophilia, because I'm getting ready to make a big video about pedophilia, I think, in the next few months, and I think, you know, chewing over some of the ideas with you might be a good idea. And it probably won't do anything for my image now that I'm thinking through what I'm saying. Okay, so do you want to explain yourself, Vaush?
Well, it's probably nothing my community hasn't heard, and also probably nothing you've not heard. But
my understanding is that you were saying
bad
if we're
to
gonna
have sex with children. It's a hot take in some circles, anime lovers and the like, but you know.
My understanding is that your stance is that if you're gonna say it's okay to indirectly use child slave labor, then child porn is not that different. That it's hypocritical.
My stance is that society has taken the easy route by denouncing an element of unethical consumption that they can all very easily agree is terrible, as it is.
Yes.
And that they have been very, very deliberately silent in other ways in which children are hurt.
You're saying they're both bad, not that they're both good, obviously.
That's correct.
Or that one is good. Yeah, I got that.
Quite happy that one of the two, at the very least, is currently criminalized.
Okay. Do you think owning child porn should be a crime?
Yes.
Might as well, right? I mean, we've already done the work on that one. No sense in undoing it.
Okay. Let's go to other. Do you think pedophilia, to any extent, is a sexual orientation?
I'm not entirely sure what the DSM's definition of a sexual orientation is.
Let's say we're writing the DSM.
I think it's categorically different from heterosexuality, homosexuality, or anything else like that.
Do you think it is, to any extent, do you think it is the same as any of those things?
Here's where it gets creepy, guys.
Others, but apart from that, and I don't even think that's the critical point, right?
So do you see any utility in labeling it as a sexual orientation?
No, I think it'd be the opposite of utility. The medical terminology is geared around the relationship between our brains and normative social behavior. Mental illnesses, after all, are defined as things that cause us harm in society. They prevent us from functioning normally. And I think that pedophilia, as you might guess, prevents one from functioning normally, to not put too fine a point on it.
Not to mention causes harm, because children can't consent.
Orientation should be something normal and healthy. But pedophilia can never be that. So a paraphilia is what it should be defined as. And I think that is what it's defined as presently.
I believe it is. Do you think that there is ever any utility in thinking of it as functioning like a sexual orientation? I'm not talking about, when I ask this question, I'm saying, let me rephrase it. To what extent and why do you think it is a good idea to label it as a sexual orientation in various situations? For example, if you're trying to empathize with a pedophile, or if you're trying to understand that this conversion therapy might not work for this person, or that this person, yes, should be treated as though they're mentally ill, or
he seems like he's talking from like experience, right? Like maybe he's been through this
treatment
himself.
For whatever, blah blah. But also, it should be seen as this kind of like immutable part of themselves that they and maybe others are just going to have to live with.
No, because I think even if empathy was your goal, and you know,
it's not an immutable characteristic.
One which could be, I think, in some circumstances, quite suspect, depending on the relevant intentions. You can still be empathetic towards a person with a mental illness. You'd still define it as something socially non-normative, something destructive and harmful. By referring to it as a paraphilia, as opposed to a sexuality, you normalize its unhealthy relationship with social function, which I think is good, you know. Because, of course, if you call it a sexuality, as to not refer to it as a sexuality, yes, I think it's bad to refer to it as a sexuality.
But I'm saying you think it's purely bad. Like, there's no ever reason to ever think about it like that at all, no matter what.
No.
Suppose if aliens had a gun to your head and told you they'd shoot you if you didn't change your definitions? I mean, you could always find some edge case. As a social rule, though, overwhelmingly...
Well, I'm asking you to search your heart and see if there is an edge case in there, and if you don't find one, then sure. But that's what I'm asking you about the edge cases, and something more...
It seems like he's reaching for validation, guys. That's what it seems like.
Realistic than the alien scenario.
I can't think of one. The alien scenario is my honest-to-God best effort. I don't think that there's any reason to. Even if your goal was empathy or, you know, corrective treatment or anything like that, I still think that you would have to refer to it as paraphilia. I think there'd be more utility in that. I don't know what utility there'd be in the opposite, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were a therapist, right? I mean, if, for example, if you go into therapy and you say, I think I might have this, that, or the other, it's quite bad. They'll refer to it as a paraphilia, but I don't think that's antithetical to their goal of treating or mitigating, your non-normative or harmful sexual desires. I think those are in line.
It's along the same lines of what if you like to murder your host or your sexual partners during the sexual act? Like, what if that's a paraphilia you have? Like, right? Like, is that good? Should you call that a sexual orientation? No, because you're doing harm to somebody else.
Is it ever good to if you're a pedophile to stop thinking of yourself as sick? To if you can't fix it.
You can't fix it. I don't know.
Like, you're supposed to just accept that it's a paraphilia. I guess there's something wrong with you. That there always will be.
Yeah, well, I think sickness is kind of vague there. You have to accept that it's always going to be a harmful part of you. If it's something that you can't fix, I mean, what is or isn't a sickness? That encompasses a lot of stuff. Having the sniffles is a sickness. In this case, it would be, having a predatory desire or having a predilection towards predation or something like that. That goes beyond sickness. I mean, sickness isn't necessarily socially wrong. This would be some people have a compulsive violent thoughts, for example. I know that's a thing. Like some schizophrenics might have that, for example. If they want to go with sickness as the word they'd use there, then fine. I mean, the important part is that they know those thoughts are never acceptable, something they should act on.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I agree with you. What other contentious questions are raised about this? Simulate. Wait, I'm going to change my headphones because my headphones are dying.
Been known to happen.
Yeah. Okay. Can I still hear you?
I can hear you.
Oh, maybe not. Oh, I have to change them in Discord. I forgot. Okay. Nice. Okay. Next question. Simulated child porn lolly stuff.
I think it's pretty sussy.
Yeah, if you're gonna simulate something, I mean, maybe that could, I don't know, like even that's a little bit much. Like using it, because then you're supporting the bad behavior. If you would use it in therapy, for instance, or something like that, you'd be supporting that bad behavior. So yeah, it's pretty sus. He's talking about lolly anime and stuff like that. If you guys don't know what that is, it's very young, sexually explicit girls in anime.
I think that if you have an interest in that sort of stuff, you should definitely be checking yourself as to why. The thing that really bothers me about this shit, apart from the fact that anytime you want to look at like hentai on a hentai site, you have to like negate the tag lolly and thus 50% of the site's content. The thing that bothers me is people who pretend there's no relationship whatsoever between like drawn lolly shit and actual attraction to children. Of course there's a relationship between those things. It's ridiculous to pretend otherwise. So they need to be aware of that, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
Are you saying that based on common sense, or is there any evidence of that?
Any evidence of that? You mean, okay, so I've had a bunch of links thrown at me to people who are, again, very sussy, trying to argue there's not actually a relationship between instances of child predation and access to like lolicon or whatever.
Well, I would assume there is a correlation between people who really want to believe that and people who are pedophiles. So
yeah, I'd be willing to bet that.
For sure, that I'm going to agree with you there. But just you where you're at now, I'm saying, are you arriving at that because of like some study I don't know about, or you just think it's obvious?
It's not a study that I'm not speaking on this through a study you're not aware of. I think it's categorical. I think that the fetishization of youth, to the extent that you're fetishizing the bodies or mentalities of...
Yeah, I mean, it's extremely obvious. I'm not sure if you really need a study to show that. Like if you're drawing a kid, or like an underage person having sex and drawing them so that they look underage and that they're having sex or performing sexual acts, there's something wrong there. It's definitely suspect and makes me think, or makes me pretty much know that anybody in that position would also find attraction in actually living human being children as well.
Of underage people is categorically harmful. Because even if somehow, and I don't know if there's any research indicating this, even if somehow you could find that there was zero correlation between any criminal behavior there at all, and the widespread consumption of hentai, lolicon, whatever, I still think that it normalizes quite negative things, or to put it another way, like if I was a kid again, and I'm not, and I like found my dad like looking at like fucking big honkin' Hooters porn one day or some shit like that, like that'd be awkward as hell. But you know, life goes on. The sun rises in the morning. But if I like walked into my parents like or whatever else consuming like lolly or Shotokan or some shit like that, I think that would irreparably damage my trust in them. That there'd be some fundamental like forevermore some disconnect between them and my ability to trust them. And I think there's reason for that. It's not just like
I don't think we should get too personal here.
Well, I'm just trying to explain that it's so I don't without working
It's
on
a hypothetical, dude.
data here. I feel like it's just bad to fetishize that kind of stuff. We fetishize the fuck, for instance, out of female youth. You know, we do it to men to an extent.
Some of these shit, like some of the chats on here, like holy yikes. I didn't expect Vaush to be dating a pet or debating a pedophile.
Yeah, but mostly the women, and this like evolves in so many creepy ways that things don't even get talked about, like child beauty pageants or this the obsession with like barely legal
porn, barely
legal. So it's holistic. It's not just lolly or shota, though I think that's, you know, particularly egregious outcropping of it. I think it's just this whole like long-standing global infatuation with young women, I guess youth in general, but the lolly stuff's more of a problem than the shota stuff, and I think that should stop. It's probably pretty bad, you know.
Stop. And you think it should stop by what mechanism?
Culturally, I think it has to be opposed. So, like,
okay, so it should be legal, but we should be like, hey,
well, you could raise.
Hey, Dad, don't do that.
Well, I'd hope I'd say that. You can raise the age of consent to 25, but then there would be like barely legal 25-year-old girl porn. Like that's going to remain no matter what like you legislate around it. And you can do whatever you want with lolly or shota, but then people are going to draw 1,000-year-old girls who just happen to have the bodies of 10-year-olds. You can always work your way around that. Crap.
Right? Yeah.
Here's a thought experiment. I'm gonna open a string of strip clubs in Las Vegas. It's gonna be called Mr. Girls, whatever you want Emporium. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And in one strip club, the strippers are 25, 24, 23, 22, all the way down to infants. But each strip club, and this is a sovereign state, so there's no laws. In each club, everyone is the same age. Okay, so if you want to watch babies crawl around, or you want to watch 100-year-olds, we'll start at 100. So basically, everybody and everybody all the women on the planet have to work here. My question is, in America now, which club do you think would
What the fuck? What is he trying to get at here?
be the most popular if this were to open tomorrow?
In a sovereign state adjacent to America.
Yeah, and it's you know, identities are there's no issues of social ostracization. Nobody knows. Everybody's wearing whatever disguises.
The closest argument you
strippers.
could make there, I think, is from European literature from ye olden days, and it seems like predation against girls spiked up around like 14 to 16. So if you could, if all the degenerate sex tourists,
yeah, looking around you at America now. I want you to base this just on your sense. You know a lot of people.
Oh wow.
You talk to a lot of people about this. And we all.
You know, I haven't talked to a lot of people about this specifically. I'm going to.
Okay, well, we run in different circles, but
I guess
based on your
you went in circles where they want to fuck kitties.
observations of American humans.
Mm-hmm.
Which club is the most popular? Straight men are going, and they're women.
Culturally, I don't think that we've done anything to appropriately discourage that kind of predatory behavior towards girls. So my guess is that would be somewhere between 14 to 17. I think that culturally we've done extremely well.
The girls don't know. The girls don't know that you're. Is it even predatory to go look at them? They don't know that you're looking at them.
I would say that it's predatory.
It's a website where you can log in and look at locker rooms. Just forget the slavery aspect.
I would continue to believe that's predatory.
Yeah,
for sure. But much harder type of predatory behavior to discourage if no one will ever know that camera was there.
If you put a camera in an underage girl's locker room and the police found it, I assure you that they would be able to very quickly, succinctly, and with great confidence explain to you what you did wrong.
Yeah.
All right, then I have to go take care of something. No, I'm just kidding. All right. What if?
That's not even a good joke, man. That's not a good joke. Not a good joke.
Fucker, you're adding all this shit in. I want you to.
I'm not. If you're trying to catch me in a hot take, it's not. I've argued raising the age of consent.
I'm not trying to catch you. Think I'm trying to trap you after what I said to you? After I told you I was a Care Bear, and you think I'm trying to? You think this is a sting? Listen, androids, fucking perfect replicas. The strip thing again. No one is getting hurt. They just look exactly like humans.
We
My question
already
is,
went over
which
this with the
club is
lolly
most
stuff.
popular. My question is, where do you think we're at? And I'm asking it in kind of a exciting way because we're in public. But where do you think we're at? What is?
I genuinely don't think that much has been done to culturally disbar the average modern guy from the attitudes that we had back in antiquity towards women and attractiveness towards women.
And what number?
I think it would be somewhere
do you not
from
want to answer
14.
this question?
No, I think it'd be somewhere from 14 to 17. I don't
Which
think
one?
we've changed.
Those are big. That's a big difference.
I have no idea, and I couldn't even begin to think by which categories I would separate them.
You know, I had a someone I knew.
Mm-hmm.
Who?
So, you know, if you're going to admit
Is it you? Is it you? Is that the someone you knew? Is it you?
to any crimes, I would really rather not be listed in whatever federal reports are filed, so I prefer to begin the video on your stream, unrelated to my own.
So there's no crime.
Huh.
No crimes.
Hopefully not, because it was kept in a sovereign state, as opposed to the United States of America.
Yeah, this takes place in the United States. It actually takes place in Beverly Hills. Wait, are you? Can I ask you some biographical questions?
Sure.
Are you from Beverly Hills? I've heard this, but I don't know
Yeah,
if it's true.
I was born there.
Okay, but you don't live there?
No.
Okay. Because I worked in Beverly Hills for many years as a personal trainer. And so in the gym, you get to know people.
Yeah.
People from different countries with different norms. And man, the shit they would say about high school girls and tell me like that if they could be with a girl of any age, if it was socially acceptable, it would be 15. It was like super like normal to them. It's very, very different from
So fucking weird.
Discourse. Okay,
Yeah, I think it's deeply unfortunate.
Yeah, it's really fucking
yeah,
weird.
I want to get to that in a second. But you're saying 14 to 17, and you will not, you won't pick a number?
I will absolutely not pick a number within the range.
Why is he trying to be so?
Because you don't
Wow, guys.
guess, or because you don't want to be clipped saying it?
Because I don't even know by what category you would distinguish into that group, and because I'm referring only to my feelings on other people's predilections, not to my own. So you're not asking me for my preference, you're asking me what I expect of the average American.
No,
A group of which I have a very low
preference is-
impression.
Okay, but you don't want to say the number.
I don't have a number. Do you have a number? Is there a number you're looking for?
I think it's 15.
Well, I suppose we'll leave it to the historians to judge.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. This is
Maybe
going
16.
down the rabbit hole.
Might be. I think it would be 14 at first, and then it would move up once the novelty wore off. I think it
The
would be 15 or
novelty-
16.
Is this consideration in line with your...
This is really weird, guys. I don't know how Vaush is keeping a straight face during all of this. And
desire to empathize with pedophiles, or is it something more personal than that?
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, you sound like a pedophile, not a person who wants to promote empathy for
Just say it,
socially
yep.
people.
Why do I sound like a pedophile?
Because you're dedicating a considerable amount of thought to the subject of what type of underage girl people would be most interested in.
What color? If you had to guess what color their underwear would be, Flash, what would you say?
Oh, Jesus. And that's where it ends, guys.
See that? You people ask for debates, and what do we get? This is on you. What do we have had? Metroid Prime stream. What do we end up having? Whatever the fuck that was.
Oh boy. So as you can see, there are definitely people who have this platform. That's the one thing about democratizing platforms and live streams and things like that, is you get people like that can come out and spread their weirdness. I have no idea, like that guy. I have a feeling I'm going to see him one of these days on the news after he'd been caught in a ring of child porn, probably right next to Matt Gaetz. I don't know, but yeah, that was fun. Oh, we're gonna end that segment there. We're gonna hold off, guys, for just a moment because I am going to run to the restroom real quick. It is something that is a necessity. I'll be right back. All right. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Back. So yeah, this is quite interesting. I don't know what to make of that guy, really. I think there we go. Face was a little bit too bright. Yeah. So that was an interesting video. But yeah, it's just, I mean, it takes all kinds, man. I guess there's just people out there that have some major issues. And that guy's either in denial or trying to rationalize his own pedophilia. Well, so that was one of the fun videos I wanted to go over with you guys. We're gonna do something a little bit less intensive now, that's for sure. We're gonna go ahead and go over this. Sounds like a good one. I think we'll work on this one here. I think we'll do a couple of these videos. There's a couple that I want to watch. There's this really fun one that I want to watch called Punished Bernie. That's an interesting animation video that was made. Let's see here. I just want to get rid of that one because we watched that one. There we go. All right. So, as many in this country seem to think, people think that the word socialism is a bad word, but it's only been used politically as a demon, like, you know, as a boogeyman, since probably about the 1950s, right after the war. When the USSR and the Cold War and all that stuff began. But before that, there was a sizable socialist party in America, and the ideas behind the philosophy of socialism aren't what everybody seems to think they are a lot of times. And you guys know how I love my Jubilee videos, so we're going to go over this Jubilee video of can socialists and capitalists find middle ground? And I think there's a stepping stone somewhere in there, but we'll just take a look at this and see what's up.
We actually aren't looking for a middle ground with capitalism. We're not looking for a lighter, gentler oppression, exploitation, racism. We are seeking revolution.
We brought socialists and capitalists together to speak dialogue about their differences and similarities, I think is what it said. Okay, so here, hold on, I want to go back to this. This is the definition of socialism: economic system characterized by collective ownership of workers and workers' self-management of the means of production. That means the workers themselves, the people who do the jobs, own the means of production. It's more of a collective environment where the heads of the companies, the heads of the corporations, the people in power were voted in by the collective power or collective voice of the workers themselves. And capitalism is an economic system based on private ownership of the means of production and operation for profit, which leads to exploitation in many ways. We'll talk about that.
My name is Liberty. I'm studying psychology at UCLA. I'm 20 years old.
I'm Sean. I'm 24 years old, and I'm in the Socialist Party.
My name's Mimi. 2016, I was the Socialist Party's presidential candidate.
I'm Shay, and I'm with the Socialist Party, and I'm 28.
My name's Jack. I'm 19. I go to community college.
My name's Richard, 19. I go to Cal State Long Beach as a chemistry major with a music minor.
Can I get my socialists on the left? and my capitalists on the right. Humans are inherently selfish.
Selfishness is sort of one word for it, but looking out for yourself.
It's funny that they say, like, okay, so humans are inherently selfish. So they agree to this, that humans are inherently selfish, yet they want to go with the system that exacerbates that greed. They want to go with a system that unchecks that greed as much as possible. So it's funny that they're saying, oh, we're inherently selfish, so we want a system that's going to let us take advantage of people as much as humanly possible. All right. Yeah, that's what they're saying.
Your own survival and your own gain. And of course, that includes the gain of those you love, is one of the main motivators of people.
A really good way that we could figure out human nature is by comparing it to animal nature and stuff like that. And you see, animals doing whatever they can to survive. It's just culture that has changed us. But I believe at its core that, yes, humans, just like any other animal, are selfish.
But that's not necessarily the case. He says that, like, humans just like any other animal. What about bees? What about bees? Are bees selfish? What if one of them wants to be the queen and he's a drone? It's not going to happen. It's just comparing the animal world to human beings just doesn't make sense.
I work with children,
right there.
and my experience of working with people who haven't been acculturated or have been into this idea that they need to be selfish all the time are generally not. Every organism has to have a sense of, like, getting resources for itself in order to survive, but that's much different than being selfish, I think.
I think even if you spend any time in a social democracy, let's say you go to Norway and you spend time there where the people see the collective good as tied into their own personal well-being. I think we have so many examples like that in society.
And that's the thing, is that, a system where it promotes the universal well-being of everybody as opposed to the individual well-being of each person, dependent on how much they can stab the other person in the back, tends to lessen the need for like inherent selfishness, inherent greed. It gets rid of that need for greed because everybody has those abilities. I mean, there's still going to be some levels of it, but not anywhere near as much as with some of the unchecked capitalist
Just working
systems.
collectively toward a greater good.
The thing about the Nordic countries, in my opinion, is, well, since they're very, very ethnically homogenous, they all have very, very similar culture. It's not an accurate representation of, what humans inherently are, because I believe that culture can mask human nature.
So you think that diversity would work against working in harmony toward a collective good?
In diversity, we have different ideas of what good is.
I think competition
No,
brings out
again,
the best.
there is objective good and bad. I mean, and through this, it's and this is a perfect example of that. It's having as much freedom as you possibly can for yourself without infringing upon the freedoms and the rights of anybody else, right? That there's a balancing system there, and that's you can get the most amount of freedom for everybody out of that, the most amount of liberty.
Best in people.
Especially when, we're competing for something like, let's try to create this compound that could help, the masses in some kind of health relation form. You have all these research labs trying to figure out what's the most efficient way to figure out this process.
Wouldn't it be more efficient if they work together and put their collective goals together to find those compounds and things like that? I mean, I think that would be, these are the same people that say, two heads are better than one, but then they'll turn around and say, oh no, yeah, competition. No, if you have 12 football teams and one has the best quarterback and one has the best running back and one has the best best linebackers, whatever, and you go through and you put all of those teams together, and then you take the best players and you put them onto a project like, the starting football team, that's going to be a better team than if you were to have those teams play each other separately, wouldn't it? I mean,
What's the most efficient way to do this? I think we need more of that sort of sense of competition, especially in the sciences and whatnot.
We frequently hear about the evils of monopolies. It's because, when you control an entire market, why even bother being better at anything?
that's the problem with capitalism, though. Once you get to a certain level, you can take out the competition. You can get rid of it. There wouldn't be a such thing as monopolies if there wasn't capitalism. That wouldn't be a thing.
You've got no competition. You've got nothing to strive for, and no one can choose anything else.
I agree with you both on the examples that you gave, but the thing that I'm kind of struggling with, I mean, if we're talking about efficiency, quality, then yeah, I think it brings out the best in people, but then again, it tends to bring about greed.
Y'all do such a great service. It's a trip to me because, as you're likely aware, that there's this growing support for socialism, an economic system that places people over profit, that you're willing to continue to throw out the same talking points that have failed people so miserably. Again, it's a benefit to us, and I guess we should say thank you.
Nice.
If you care about something, if you're passionate about something, you don't need the threat of someone doing it better than you to do the best that you can do at it.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not doing this for profit right now. I'm not sitting, on the stream talking to a couple of people who decided to join me for profit. Like, there's other ways I could go out and be making money in other ways. Trust me, in cutthroat ways. I have the ability to do that. I have the intelligence to do that, but I refuse to because of my moral value. I do this because I'm passionate about it. And because I'm passionate about it, maybe someday it will pay off, and then I'll be able to make a living off of it. But as of right now, I'm doing it because I'm passionate about it. I'm passionate about the things that I'm talking about. I'm passionate about the subjects and passionate about bringing out the truth in the world. This system that we live in, as far as capitalism, where you step on other people's backs to get ahead, just doesn't appeal to me in any sort of way whatsoever.
Ask any creative, competition leads less to excellence and more towards doing whatever you can to edge past the other person.
Today, everyone has the opportunity for success.
All right, if we're talking about the United States and we're talking about financial success, then yes, I would believe so. If we're talking about the world, it doesn't necessarily have to mean...
Okay, so you think everybody in the United States has the ability for financial success? Like the same ability? Like, is it going to be easy for the Vietnam vet who has PTSD and is missing a limb and living on the street? Is it going to be, easy for him to find market success next to a trust fund kid who was sent to an Ivy League college and owns, stock in several companies and runs a tech division? Like, I mean, that's just to even say that is ignorant to other people's positions.
Financial well-being or like stability, I think that it really just means how you're happy and how you're okay with yourself, and you make a goal and you pursue your goal, and if you fail or achieve it.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I find that there are so many resources out there that you can enact on. It's just there's some people who just don't do anything about it.
And I think that there's too much focus on financial success as a whole. Too many people focused on making that almighty dollar instead of bettering the world for the sake of the human race in general. And bettering the world, for all of it. The reason that we have poverty and things such as that is because of the systems that are in place. I mean, of course, capitalism's better than feudalism, but look at the harsh conditions that most people had to live under feudalism. Capitalism made it a little bit better, but now we're backsliding into a place where things are becoming so divided that we're wringing the poor people out on the other end and keeping everything for the rich people. But that's to be honest, Derpshot. So he says I've seen people from rough backgrounds find financial success and embracing their background and contribute back. That is true to a certain extent. It's possible. Likely is a different story. I'm not saying that there's not a possibility for those types of things to happen, but the likelihood of them happening for any individual is a totally different story. Capitalism isn't inherently evil, and neither is socialism. Capitalism gave people in this country the option to make a living and do it. I was just saying that, like, it's better than feudalism. They're tools, but the tool capitalism is flawed and broken as of right now because there's no checks and balances for the people that are in control of the system. So they're able to make as much capital and hoard as much money as they want to the detriment of the bottom half of the United States of America, because there's no checks and balances in place. All of those were ripped away during Reaganomics, and they've been continued to be eroded time and time again, no matter who's been in charge. There's no way for capitalism to work for the common man anymore. It's only going to continue to get worse to where it's only working for that percentage that is above the poverty line, or even above the middle class line. It's going to keep going that way, especially as we lose resources due to climate change, as we lose our place in the economy compared to China and other countries. There's just the tool capitalism itself is flawed. And I'm not saying socialism isn't either, because socialism was used as a vehicle for the USSR, but that wasn't true socialism. What that was like the communism that was skewed so that the people were taking power. Now, if this is done from you can't have socialism start from people that are already in power, or from power structure already there. It's got to start from the ground up. It's got to come from the ground up, because otherwise, there's a good chance that somebody will just try to seize the power for themselves. And that's what's happening in capitalism too, is that there's power being seized for itself. People are consolidating all the financial power into 0.1% of the population, and screwing, and then they have their lackeys, which would count for probably about maybe 25 to 30% of the population, and everybody else can pretty much go fuck themselves, is how it's working. Now, if we had a system in place that was a middle ground of both, I think that we'd be a little bit better off. Like if we used checks and balances and had some of the ideas of social safety nets that socialism brings, and then some of the other things that capitalism brings. But I think that it's just a stepping stone. I think once we get to that point, then we'll realize that we don't need capitalism anymore, that we can build upon our society and prosper by communally working together to achieve our goals as a society and as the human race. That's not going to happen under capitalism. It's just not.
My first thought here with this question is, you gotta be fucking kidding me. So many people in this country who solely because they exist, they're under threat, whether it's through, the police, they're just trying to survive.
Everyone's very different. Again, everyone has different opportunities to what they can even consider success. In the US, though, there are a lot of opportunities for most people, though, of course, you can't say all, and there are always those who are extremely unfortunate and should be helped.
I'm sure every one of us has sat in a restaurant before, or a Starbucks. Those people work their asses off. Any of these low-income jobs are not easy, and they work for pennies. If something goes wrong with their car, they're done. If they have a health problem, they're done.
Yeah, like right now, for instance, I have a tire I'm continually having to fill up with air over and over and over again, because I don't have the money right now to get new tires on my car. So I'm spinning my wheels, like spending extra time to fill up this car tire over and over again, because I know if it fails, then I can't get to work and I can't pay my bills, and then my kid suffers, and then my roommate suffers, and so I have to do this extra work, which is, it's cold where I'm at, guys. It's cold. It's below freezing, and sometimes way below zero, where I'm at right now, and that can be very difficult and very trying. And that's just a first world problem. There's other things too, like just putting food on the table and stuff. I am one of those many Americans, and there are many Americans out there that are basically one emergency away from complete ruin. If I got, I'm not insured right now, which I'm trying to get through my job, but has been hard because the HR manager doesn't want to do anything about it. But anyways, yeah, it's probably patchable. I'm not sure. I'd have to. It's been a pain in the ass. I have to do it every couple of days. But basically, what I'm trying to say through this is that, some people get stuck in that position where you have to take a high risk to get yourself out of those situations. Like I could, possibly like win the lottery or win some money from gambling or try to make it like leave and try to make it big in Hollywood or something along those lines. This is my risk right here, and I'm not even, I'm just using my extra time for myself to do this. But those things aren't going to be a definite, and I can't make those risks when I have a kid to feed and when, I have bills to pay and stuff like that. So yeah, it's not the same for everybody.
You're talking about financial success, though. Success is extremely relative and can be defined in many different ways.
In a capitalist society, though, isn't financial success the most important thing?
No.
I've worked in the food industry for a number of years, and I can not say that any one of my companions was ever happy to be doing that.
Yeah, and if they're going to school on top of that, so they're working full time, and on top of that, they're going to school and they're paying school.
I would consider that successful if you can go to school and you can maintain your GPA and you can also be working a part-time job and somehow affording your school. Yeah, you're doing well in life.
Oh, I know you weren't, Derpshot. I was just saying I'm not sure if it is or not. Like I haven't even if it is patchable. Like things have been a little bit tight since my day job cut my hours, but after the holiday season. But no, I mean it's something that I have to deal with in my position. I mean it's reality, it's the difference between being able to buy toilet paper and buying a patch kit for my tire, or some Fix-A-Flat or whatever. Sometimes you have to make those decisions. It's just the way things are, especially after COVID. I mean, I was doing really well before COVID. Pre-COVID, my business was going extremely well, and I was DJing a lot of places and bringing in lots of money from weddings and stuff like that, and things can automatically change on you like that.
Society should help the underprivileged.
That sort of saying, if you give a man a fish, etc., holds true. And also, who should do the helping and how is very important. Not all acts of service are equally beneficial.
I would agree to that. I myself, I'm sorry to use a personal anecdote here, but I've personally dealt with the fact that, giving someone this much aid, they become lazy. My father is an alcoholic. So since due to an injury in his leg, he gets SSI. And what ends up happening is he receives enough SSI to the point where he's not motivated to do anything else beyond just going home, drinking a beer or something like that. And I think, yes.
Do you think that has to do with the fact that he's injured too? Like, I mean, and he's put in that position where society makes him feel guilty for that situation, makes him feel like less of a man because of that? I mean, those are all contributing factors.
People should help people, especially if they're underprivileged or they need the resources to push them. But to what end? That's the fine line.
But your personal anecdote only covers the small demographic of the alcoholic. Most of the people that
the example you guys have brought up has been specifically about people who are particularly poor, when most of the country is lower middle class and up. That's
not a fact. But
that's wrong, because that's what what it's framed as. But if you look at the numbers, anybody who makes under $50,000 a year is pretty much considered lower middle class at this point because of the raise in food costs and the cost of living and everything else. And to make below $40,000 a year is basically a poverty sentence. Even in my state, which is pretty, got a pretty low cost of living for the most part.
But that you would focus on this in a city, one, that gives more than half of its budget to the police, in a country that just passed a military bill, a spending bill, that's almost $1 trillion. That money goes to defense contractors.
The government paying for things is not capitalism.
But we're in a capitalist system.
Where the government pays huge amounts of money for the things you're talking. Yeah, I'm not in favor of those things.
How about instead of spending the money on the military, how about putting those back into basic needs? Healthcare, education, housing.
I agree. The government taking our taxpayer dollars and funneling it into, they're paying for things that the military explicitly says that they don't need. That's not, capitalism is about prices and transparency and choices. When the government takes our money and buys it because they decide.
Capitalism working.
That is not, that might be what you call capitalism, but when I come here saying I'm a capitalist, I'm not saying I'm in favor of that.
Profit and ethics.
But that's
are
okay. But
motives.
she may not be in favor of that, but that's the system that she's repping. I mean, that's the end result of the system she's repping, is defense contracts. I mean, what he didn't go into is that defense contracts are all about money, and if those companies like Lockheed Martin and other companies like that don't get their fucking contracts, then there's hell to pay. And so therefore the military budget goes up every year. It's the same thing with our health system that's for profit. You know, look at the drug costs here compared to how they are in other countries that have a more socialist healthcare system. They're skyrocketed. You can go to Canada, and Bernie Sanders proved this. You can go to Canada and buy insulin for a fraction of the cost of what you would pay for it here. So yes, that is capitalism.
I think it's core to profit. You have to exploit. And again, there is nothing ethical about exploitation.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think. I'm really having trouble thinking of a situation where someone could profit off of something without exploitation being in the mix, and I'm running out of ideas.
If you're running a business and you're the one up top, you would obviously walk away with more money if you pay your employees a little bit less.
I think that profit and ethics can be intertwined when seen with the corporate social responsibility module. When they treat their employees better, they give them more benefits, they raise their wages, and in turn, it motivates the workers to work harder. And
treating your employees.
But that's no different than if the means of production were owned by the employees. They would still balance that out. I mean, they would still want to, put more, they'd still want to put effort into R&D or productivity as much as they would in their salaries, because they know if the productivity goes up, their salary is going to be able to go up. But if the company fails, they're screwed. So you balance those things, in socialism as well as in capitalism. So that's not a thing that is simply for capitalism itself.
Then shit is not necessarily ethical. Like, raising the quality does not mean that you've raised it to a sufficient standard of treatment. Because if you're paying someone less than a living wage, that is unethical.
All I'm saying is it is, to some degree, more ethical and can be seen as more ethical to be beating competition by raising the wages of your employees and giving them better benefits.
Also, one must be paid slightly less than they are making in worth for a company for it to be worth it to hire them at all.
If you can't pay your employee the minimum amount of money that they need in order to live, you have no business being in business. And I think also there's a tendency from the conservative side to skew away from sort of objective fact. I mentioned the MIT.
Prescription costs, I don't think we disagree on. I pay $80 a month for Strattera. It went generic in 2015, and no one has a cheaper formulation yet. Only last year I had mail order and got it for $25 with shipping for a 3-month supply. I've been taking it since 2004. It was the same price even back then. I'm surprised it hasn't gone up, my friend. Yeah, I take quite a few prescriptions myself, and it's ridiculous. It's like you have to pay to live.
The living wage calculator, right?
Yes.
That's a scientific model.
Wow.
At $29.25. So as a company, if you can't afford to pay your employee a living wage, that's just the minimum that they need in order to live, right? Get the fuck out of business.
Why are we even talking to you when you have all the facts and we don't know anything?
I don't know.
It's hardly worth my time.
Well, we would, sure.
It's hard to really lean towards.
That's not an argument, girl. Like, that's not an argument. Like, why don't you educate yourself?
One side or the other, if everyone is just sort of stating all these coherent biases and not accepting any sort of thing from any other particular side, which is why I'm sort of just, I'm trying to understand your side, and I'm trying to grasp really my side of it. And again, going back to sort of that mutual understanding of what can we do next? That sort of mutual understanding needs to be there if we're going to ever continue to see what's best for the U.S.
I think one reason why, you know, you often see like folks on the left, the socialist, communist, anarchists, et cetera, they're so passionate, and there is anger, you know. Seeing the suffering and the oppression and the exploitation, the racism, et cetera, you sort of feel this urgency, you know, like we're constantly under sort of this self-criticism and self-reflection about like, well, how do you package what can be complex ideas into ways that are very palatable? And I think, like, if there's a failure on the left, that would be one of them.
I wish that rather than having an agenda that we try to prove and we see ourselves as winning by convincing the opponent, I wish that we could consider winning as finding the middle ground and finding where we're similar and finding the truth. I think if you're in the pursuit of truth, then you've won, contrary to convincing other people that you're right.
You know, despite that, we definitely disagree on pretty much everything. It's good to note that the real common ground here is we as like millennials and Gen Z and stuff, we're actually like talking about this, like whether we were able to convince the other side of anything or not.
Right, like, you know, like 15 years ago, if you mentioned you were a socialist, you were ostracized from your community. I mean, it was like it was much more of a dirty word back then. And now I can freely admit that, you know, I believe in socialism as over capitalism as a tool we need for our economic growth. But will it change anytime soon? Probably not in my lifetime.
At least we give a shit about it, you know. This is stuff that we need to talk about. This is stuff that we need to be aware of, especially given our leaders. So, yeah.
All right, guys, that's a wrap.
Thank you.
All right. That was a good video. I like that one. As I say, Derpshot, I'm very fortunate to pay what I do, but I can't think of a small business employees for affording the $600 uncovered sticker price of Stratera. I would lose my job without it. Capitalism hits medicine in the worst, in my opinion. We already have aspects of it with some government-controlled utilities, so I don't know what people are cringing about. Well, they don't think of it. They don't think of that as capitalism. They don't think of the police force or the fire force or power, water, plumbing, all that stuff. They don't think of that as socialism. They don't think of up until recently, you know, nobody thought of infrastructure as socialism, but just recently, and this is where the Republican Party is going. Recently, there have been people on the left or on the right, not necessarily politicians per se, because I don't think they're quite there yet, but a lot of right-wing pundits and a lot of right-wing talking heads are saying that the infrastructure bill that was proposed by Biden, the infrastructure bill that was pushed forward, is socialism. That building roads for people is socialism. That building and they're right, but what they're trying to say is that it's evil, that we shouldn't do it, that it should all go to private contractors and things like that. That's a dangerous and slippery slope there. And it's coming. Like they're saying any help to the common man whatsoever is socialism. But if you help the corporations and stuff and give them loopholes and bail them out, that's fine. That's not a problem. So we live in a pot called a kettle black society, my friends. That's what it is. All right, ending this segment there. Let's see here. VA healthcare is government sponsored. We need to get that right before pushing out something similar to the rest of the country. That's a different story though, man. The VA is a completely different animal. That's not run by the government per se, like as far as you know, just it's run by the military. So they've been known to fuck shit up. I mean, like, you know, you've heard about the $600 hammer and stuff like that. But and it says Canada has a form of it, but if you listen to Canadian streamers talk about it, they'll have supplemental care they pay for, but it's nothing like what we pay. Well, okay, and so the supplemental care, that's because even like I have a Canadian streamer I watch quite a bit actually, and he says that what he has up in his country is way better than what we have here, but it's still flawed, and that the universal healthcare program, Medicare for All, that Bernie Sanders was talking about would have covered dental and vision as well as mental health, which would be way better because those are things that are very, very important. Do you realize if mental health was free in this country, how many problems that would solve? Do you realize, like, it would solve so many issues with so many people in this country if that were the case. Canada covers big emergency care, but if I needed something like a foot bunion surgery, or if I was someone who needed circumcision, that supplemental care covers. Well, actually, they cover out hospital or regular hospital visits, regular checkups, and things like that too. They cover, like, if you need to go see your doctor because you have diabetes or something like that, that's covered too. But elective surgery, for instance, would be supplemental. So bunion, yes, that would count. Circumcision, I'm pretty sure that would count too. That's a whole nother animal. I think circumcision's kind of mutilation. I'm circumcised and nobody asked me about it. I know so many people who have been homeless that just needed some mental health care. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it would do wonders, but it wouldn't solve all of our problems, but it would definitely help out quite a bit. And the reason that we don't have that, unfortunately, is our system of economics that we live under, which is late stage capitalism. And I'm not saying the capitalism we have today is way different than the capitalism we had, even 40, 50 years ago. Like in the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, things were actually pretty good for the most part because capitalism wasn't unchecked. There was a progressive tax that taxed on income over $1 million, to a greater extent. And so we had more checks and balances back then. There wasn't corporations that could vote for their interests in Congress. All that stuff that's happening now, when it was just a couple of bad eggs back then, and it's like all of our government now. So it's kind of the problem that we're in. But yeah, what do we got going on now? I'm trying to see what time it is. So it's 9:30, 9:40. You know what? I think we're gonna play some video games for a little bit here because I haven't done that in a minute. I haven't even gotten to play video games off stream in a while. Let's see here. I know Bernie Sanders wanted to put a 1/10 of 1% tax on stock trades to cover something, maybe college debt. Yeah, like there's little things like that, and it would too. Like, I mean, the math works out. But my head hurts, so enough with the politics for now, I guess. We're gonna play some. I'm gonna get back to the good old Vampire the Masquerade here today. So I'm gonna see how this goes. I'm gonna scooch down here a little bit so I can get into a good position for that. All right, let's see here. I don't even remember where I was in this game last time we played. It was on my first stream, I think, I played this. It's loading. Still loading. Oh, hit the wrong button. There we go. Let's we gotta change this. Properties. Maybe. All right, let's try this again. Ooh, that's real loud. I don't. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Why is my game capture not working here? There we go. I think I did it. Yeah, there we go. Oops. There we go. All right. A little bit of technical difficulty there, but not anything to worry about too much. Am I not picking up any sound on this, though? Why is that not working? Okay. I don't think I'm getting any sound out of the game itself. Let's see here. No, not new game. Escape. I want to cancel this. We're going to restart the game here. Let's see if we can get this sound working. All right. Let's try this one more time, guys. See if we can get the sound working. Dun, 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 dun. It's still loading. It's the thing with old games, man. All right, we're having a problem with this. I don't know why it's not working. There we go. All right, and we got the sound too, I think. No, not new game. God damn it. I'm really screwing this up right now. Let's try this one more time. No, it was supposed to discourage a square in the market. All right. There we go. Load game. Santa Monica Hub. I think we got it, guys. I think we got it. Yeah, here we go. All right. So let's see, what was I supposed to do? I think, was it tab or was it, let's see here. Looking for the menu. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see if I can remember what the inventory. Okay, there we go. It's inventory. Oh, fuck. Is that cop trying to kill me? Apparently some girl died right there. I don't know. Alright. Alright. There we go. The Regent's Riddle. Mr. South, the Tremere Regent, has invited you to his home in downtown Los Angeles. You need to find him. His invitation left a cryptic riddle which reads, Dark blood, our curse, alight this verse. Such power I sense in one so young. Come find me where burns the mystical sun. Wherefore out thou, Mercurio? Prince LaCroix has dictated that you are to go to Santa Monica and meet with the agent named Mercurio, who will provide you with the details of your assignment. To get to his apartment, take a right at the end of the alley down the stairs from your haven. His apartment building is... Okay. Alright. Nothing in downtown, nothing in Hollywood, nothing in Chinatown. So this is it. Alright, is there a map? I don't know if there's a map. F1. We want to do... Okay. There we go. Okay, so I need to figure out where this guy's place is. I forget. Let's see here. I think it's... We need to look at the options because I got to figure out... Let's see here. E. That's what it is. Cancel. It's been a long time since I played this, so there we go. Holy shit.
Those mothers ripped me off. I'm dying here. Yeah. You looking for the astrolite? I'm... a draft on my fucking insides. They shanked me, the bastards. The blood ain't working no more. My head, it feels... I think my eyes popped.
Let's see. Stay with me.
I went... What is this lump? Is this my rib? Oh, holy shit. My rib is poking through my side?
Come on, dude. Tell me what the hell's going on.
You gotta look and tell me.
Let's see here. Should we get mean to him? Cut the crap!
All right. Jeez, you think you were the one laying here with his guts hanging out? It was that freaking chemist. Guy mixes up speed, his crew sells it. Occasionally does explosives. I set up a
Wow.
job. I show up at the beach with the money, right? 4 of these guys, they come out of nowhere. Junky pricks hit me with a bat. It feels like I got a friggin' horse kick in it. Those cocksuckers beat me rotten, left me for a stiff. I had to crawl to my car.
Did I
throw
get
my
your
ass up
keys?
here.
What derp shot?
The vamp blood's the only thing holding me together. But shit, they got the money, they got the astrolite.
Let's see here. What's the only thing holding me together? Masquerade or the bastards?
Bitches live out in a dump on the beach. 4 or 5 of them. And one's got the explosives is Dennis. Got my money too, that prick.
Okay, how do I get there?
Laying in a pool in my own blood and you want friggin' directions.
I'm playing
Right,
Vampire
right.
the Masquerade Bloodlines.
Down the
It's an
street,
old
in the parking garage,
RPG.
stairs down to the beach. On the right. Those better not be some of my last words.
Anything else?
Gotta get it back from him. Maybe reason with him, maybe break in. I don't know. I want to kill him. Do whatever you people do. I blew it, I know.
Yeah, you fucked up, dude. God damn it. You gotta, let's see here. I'll go get the astrolite. Is there anything I can do to help you? Don't go anywhere slick. I'll be back as soon as I get your job done for you. I guess I could ask him if there's anything I could do.
If you could... Oh, something just started leaking. I need something for the pain.
I'll bring something back for you, I guess.
One more thing. About the deal. I mean it. You tell anyone about this, I'm dead. I'm begging you. I got a way of getting people what they need. Don't say anything. I can help you out.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, I look extra cute today. Oh, I think I look like crap. Thanks. I didn't really do anything today, but thank you. That's sweet. You don't say anything I can help you out. Oh, good to know. Oh boy, I gotta stop yawning. All right, so we gotta look at the quest log. Okay, he needs some painkillers. Yeah, I just kind of, I mean, I woke up and I guess, well, I took a shower. That's about it. Needed some serious painkillers. Do I have anything in my inventory that would be painkiller like? I like extra goofy. I could use some goofy in my life. Do I have, let's see here. Pill bottle. Oh, that's estrogen. Okay, can't give him estrogen, I guess. That wouldn't do much good. All right. Okay, so now where do I gotta go? Mercurio has asked you to retrieve the astrolite, which is supposed to get from you from a group of junkie pricks who live in a dump on the beach. Additionally, Mercurio would also like to get his money back. Okay, so we need to find the beach. Beach access. Sweet. Thank God for signs, right? Do I have to go down this way? Like... Okay, I hear water.
Up there. Through that chain link gate and up those stairs.
What?
Those men you're looking for.
How did they know I was looking for somebody?
Never mind. You wouldn't understand.
Weird. Well, what's new? Thanks.
Listen, it's like I've told you types about 1,000 times now. We know we can't hunt round here, alright? We're minding our own business. No reason to hassle the weaklings.
You see any thugs come through here carrying bats? Let's see, why would I know what he's talking about?
Off?
No, why would you think that?
We're getting pretty sick of it. Someone's sighting domain, or in the worst cases, hunting us for sport.
What? Why?
Dunno. We all seem to have come down with the same disease. Who am I kidding? We're a bad horror show, alright? We seem to be the runts, the mistakes. You types call us thin bloods. I say we're all equally screwed.
Thin Bloods? What clan are you from?
Clan? See, I've heard all that before. And I still don't know what the hell anyone's talking about. I'd like to know just what I've become. We'd all like to know just what the hell kind of devil's contract we've apparently signed.
How'd this happen to you?
I just come to town for the surf tournament. Seems like years ago, but it's, well, been about 6 months now. Every night during the finals, I used to hit the local diner after the beach parties fizzled out in the AM. That's where I met her.
Met who?
She had a natural beauty. Not like all the plastic dolls littering the sand. Her name was Lily. I remember introducing myself, the way she seemed grateful for the company. Well, a few nights after our meeting, we were on the beach alone. And
go on.
She tried to tell me what she was, but I didn't understand. And so she showed me. I was furious with her when I took it all in. I cursed her and left, never really knowing what I was. Well, I realise now how she must have felt. So here I am now, a mystery to myself.
I hate to break it to you, friend, but you're all
That's what
vampires.
Lily tried to tell me. But what I don't understand are the rules and the terms and the reasons some of them are at our throats claiming we're harbingers of the apocalypse.
But why?
That's what I want to know.
This Lily, is she dead?
Clinically, yes. But honestly, I don't know. I suppose I'd have moved on by now if I didn't think she'd show up one of these nights. There's a lot I've got left to say to her.
I bet. Are all the other here Thin Bloods as well?
Aye. Most of them just recently arrived in LA. Were chased off by the Sabbath or some such thing from their home cities. They're more in the dark than I am. They're a good bunch, but well, they've been through a lot. It's affected them.
Maybe I should look into this whole Thin Blood thing.
I hope you had better luck than I did. No one's been particularly friendly to me in this city.
Yeah, that sucks. Sorry, dude.
Because we haven't been chased out yet.
I'll get back to you if I see her. If I'll get back to you if I hear anything. See ya. Let's talk to this guy.
Evening.
You okay?
It's nothing.
Do I scare you?
No. I have a speech problem. Sorry.
Don't want to call him pathetic. That's ableist. Jesus fucking Christ.
Look at the ocean. I used to love swimming out into it.
Oh, that's the same guy.
Mayhem, bro.
Do you know who the head vampire is? If the head vampire dies, we all become human again, right? Oh. But
only in the movies.
How about blood transfusions? If I get a full blood transfusion,
It
I
doesn't
can
work
become
that
human
way,
again,
buddy.
right?
It does not work that way. I think it's permanent.
What? Oh, no. There's nothing I can do?
You can try to not let your condition defeat you.
But how? I don't want this. I want to be human again.
The dead can never live again, but they can survive. Do you understand? It's going to be okay, champ.
Easy, easy. No one. Bubble.
Abby, no. No, you are going to China.
What are you talking about?
Why is he smiling? The father. Is it the father behind him?
Is this lady psychic? You're not making any sense, woman.
Chased it for the one at the top of the city. On the sea. Oh, on the ground. Found it in the crypt. It's open. It's open. Oh God. Oh God. Run.
I don't understand.
Sorry. Sometimes I see nothing. Disregard what I say.
Come on, tell me more.
What I'm saying. Forget what I say.
Can you tell me more? Your fortune, I'll
is
pay
not
you.
your destiny. All of us are unfortunate. Every time I sleep, the future plays out before me. I know the ending. It will end over and over until I cease to dream. I know your questions. For $100, I'll tell you what you don't want to hear. I need money to leave this place.
Maybe another time. I'm not very trustworthy of that yet. Can I get in here? Let's see here. We gotta go get these fucking goons, man. It's crazy how fast I can go upstairs. Dun dun dun. All right, let's find these pesky dudes. All right, hold on. I gotta take out. We're gonna go with the tire iron. Yeah, we'll go with the tire iron. All right.
Shit!
Shit! How the fuck am I supposed to... Alright. Fuck. I'm getting my ass kicked over here. Fuck. I need to... I've suffered a final death. Okay, I gotta remember how to block. To... Options. Move forward. Duck. End active disciplines, use walk. Feeding, F. Okay. There we go. Okay, we're gonna try this again. These motherfuckers. I wonder if... Do I have any guns? I don't think I have any guns. Let's see here. Inventory. No guns. Alright. Escape. I got a bat. And I can go kick this guy's ass.
Shit!
Hey, stop right there. Oh.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Alright, kick his ass, Seabass. Alright, I see these guys in here. God damn it. There, take that, take that. There. Where's this dude? Fuck, 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 fuck. Alright, let's see here. We need to fuck some guys up here. I think there's another guy over in the room over here. They're making meth up in this bitch. Fuck. Yeah. So that's how you do it. And just kick their ass, Seabass. It's on the TV over here. Alright. I think there was some stuff in the meth room. Gotta go in the meth room. Oh, what was that? Oh, that's the astrolite. Cool. Did we get the money? Gotta figure out where the money is. That's outside of the house. Don't want to go there. Damn. Let's see. Email. Password required. Control C to hack. Oh, okay. Surf report. Santa Monica. Alright, that's not going to do me any good. I need the money. Can't open the fridge. I'd be checking all this shit, man. I need to find that money and some pills for homie. That's that side door I went in. Look at the meth stuff there. Yeah. Fucking junkies. Junkies. Hell yeah. That's pretty awesome. I don't think I can find the money, though. Did I get the money? Is it shoved in the couch cushions? Ooh, great. Like a grate, literally a grate. Let's go in there. Crouch. What the fuck? Open up. Money envelope. There we go. All right. I think mission accomplished here. As far as that's concerned. Let's see here. I hate these doors in the game. You can't. Seriously? They're supposed to be coming out with a part 2 of this game at some point soon. What's that? What is that? I'm gonna go find out. I already have one of those too. Yeah. I did it. Mission accomplished. I still need drugs, though, for that dude. What's that over here? Let's do some exploring. There we go. I like the third person view better. I don't know why. It's just my thing. Yeah. Oh, I think I made it up off of the pier. Alright. Can I get through this way, though? It's a psychic. Must have been that girl's house. What was this? Arcade.
Who keeps taking my fucking blanket out of my room?
I took it out of your room.
Why? Why do you keep doing that?
Because it was cold in here earlier.
Well, don't do that.
It was...
Why get cold in my room? It's literally...
Okay.
It's literally 30... Can you warn me when you take things out of my room?
I took it out on Monday last week. It wasn't like recently. I forgot. I'm sorry.
Tell me next time.
Alright.
I did. I'm cold.
Ooh, look, a Ferris wheel.
Cat's under the couch.
What are you guys doing over here?
All he does, he just runs, stares at my feet, runs back, and runs in here. Under the couch? Yeah.
Yeah, I can't go up there for some reason yet. I don't know what the hell.
Anyways, good night.
Well, let's see here. Yeah, I've got about an hour or about 40 minutes before I gotta call it quits, guys. Going back up to the main world. Gotta go find that dude. There we go. Wonder if I can find somebody to drink out of. It's a doomsday guy.
To the apocalypse! Always room for heathens in the cold and oily pits of the damned! Lead to the final columns of the great beast's hall! All you walk willingly to the eternal feast of the guilty!
I shut him up, didn't I? Oh no! I got caught. What's this place? It's not the place I was in before, I don't think. Oh, this is a club.
Ooh, what do we have here? Another scrumptious young plaything straight out of life and into my club? You smell new, little boy. Like fabric softener do on freshly mowed astroturf. I'm not frightening you, am I, duckling? I can tell you and I are going to get along just like fire hoses.
She reminds me of Harley Quinn. Like fire hoses.
When we get turned on, there's bound to be flames. I'm the finger down your spine when all the lights are out. And the name on all the men's room walls. When I pout, the whole world tries to make me
What a dirty
smile.
little girl.
And everyone always wants to know who is that girl. I am Jeanette. And this bit of
Hi,
chaos
Jeanette.
crammed in a certifiable giggle is my club. I just love to give you funny feelings all night, sweetheart, but I really must trouble with some business. We'll reunite sweet and soon, I promise.
Soon can't come. Soon can't come soon enough. Yes. Well then. All right, let's see here. Let's flirt with her. Since I walked in here, I haven't been able to take my eyes off of you. So that I could capture your face for all the ages. Yeah, there we go. I have something I want to tell you. Come closer. Yes. Haha. Look at this guy. I think I know him in real life. Let's go upstairs, see what's going on up here. Who's this chick?
Sheesh, is this place always so dead?
More so than you think.
I thought coming to LA was going to be more exciting than Arizona. I didn't come all this way just for watered-down booze. Really? And what are you bringing to the party, huh? Got anything I can't get out in Arizona?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
this place is so straight edge.
You ever try letting somebody drink your blood? That's intoxicating. Look at this one. Get it, girl, get it. All right. That was fun. We went clubbing for a bit. Went clubbing for a bit. Foxy boxes. All right, let's see here. I think the place I needed to go is back down this way, right? Maybe. Nah. The asylum. It's over this way. Got it all turned around somehow. I'm going to the diner. Just looking around right now. You know, I thought that'd be fun.
Will it be? You the health inspector.
Let me just get my badge and I'll show you.
At least the last health inspector had the decency to make it clear when he was asking for a bribe. Here's $50. I get to live the dream for another exciting month. Yay.
I just robbed that lady. Alright, let's see here. What's this dude up to?
Something I can help you with? I guess. I don't see how that's any business of yours. Goodbye, then.
Oh. What a dick. Let's see here. I don't think it's over there. Let's see. I think I need to go on the other side of this alleyway here is probably the way to go. Yeah. Tattoo shop? Closed. I think it's this place, right? I think that's where I'm supposed to go. Yeah.
Yeah? Did you waste those sons of bitches?
Damn straight I did. You should have seen them suffer.
Good. Great. Hope it was painful. Did you get my money back?
Yep, I got it back for you.
I might have to buy some new kidneys with this.
What am I supposed to do now?
You need to make someplace disappear. A warehouse. Looks to be a Sabbat interest.
How do I find this place?
There's a guy. I never met him, but I heard a lot about him. His name is Tongue. Bertram Tongue. He's one of you types. If there's anyone who knows more than me about this city, it's him. Unfortunately, Tongue's hiding out at the moment.
What? Why?
Tongue's laying low because of Therese. Therese Vorman, you know her? Anyway, word is Therese and Tongue are feuding. I don't know the details. Mike takes that Tongue thinks he's about to get whacked, so he's gone underground till Therese calls it off. If you want to put that warehouse into orbit anytime soon, you're gonna have to get Therese to call off the feud.
Where can I find her?
She and her sister Jeanette, they run the asylum. Some freaky customers frequent that place. I try not to do business there.
What can you tell me about her?
She's the woman around here. Power player. Nice looking broad for a dead chick, but personality like stone. Therese I don't like, but I can respect her. Jeanette's different. I don't know what to make of her. She's a little, you know, in the head. I don't know. Therese is, well, like you. And I would think so's Jeanette. But I hear rumors about her.
Rumors?
Alright. Jeanette got a body built for bedrooms. And I got close acquaintances says they conquered that territory. But I asked the main man, and he says you types, you know, can't or don't or do that kind of thing. Anyway, whatever she is, I hear Jeanette's a wild girl. Who exactly? I don't know him myself. I'd like to meet the guy. Kind of a local legend. He and Therese seem to be contenders for this city. He's crafty, smart guy. I haven't heard anything bad about him.
All right, thanks for the info. Now I gotta figure out where the hell this place is. It was only what his sire Lily told him before they parted ways with her. We're unable to find out anything significant about the killer except that the killing was extremely brutal, vicious, and beast-like. Alright. Oh, okay. I just talked to her. Let's see here. So we got to go to the asylum. I'm getting sleepy, guys. Here we go. Back in this nice little club here.
Get something for you, G.
I'm looking for Therese.
Therese? She's upstairs. Since she has business attended, but I can hear her and connect with Victor from here. I didn't even see her. Yeah, I hear that from everyone, pal. She expected you or something.
That's it, she's expecting
I'll
me.
tell you breaking business. I'll buzz Therese coming in. Take the elevator over there up. If I get in here, not supposed to be there. You'll be able to start here.
Alright, thanks, goodbye. Yeah, let's do this. Let's figure out what's going on with this.
Last time I looked, it was called Santa Monica, not stuck up bitch. Oh, I can't even look at you sometimes. Oh, please, you really do paint a flattering portrait of me with your turn-of-the-century vibe. I always assumed you could do nothing but just the sight of you. Sight of that wicked, painted house, concealing that dirty, diseased mind. Sin! You have no sin. Let's see who is without sin past the fierce tone. Go ahead and mock me. You pull your pranks, make fun of my ways.
It suits you.
You're just one.
Big joke.
Don't you call me that. Should I start calling a duck a pig again? I'm your sister. How can you treat me like this? Oh, sister, man. Run away from the truth. I'll take care of everything, as always.
Please, come in. I do apologize for my sister's crassness if it made you uncomfortable. She's unabashedly scandalous, but In the club business, I suppose that kind of personality is a necessary evil.
If you say so, I mean, I guess that means you're Therese?
Therese Borman, yes. I'm the proprietor of this club, and the only person in this city whose good side it's in your best interest to stay on. What brings you to Santa Monica?
Well, I need you to call off the feud. Oh, wait, I thought Jeanette owned the club.
Jeanette is the freak show I keep around to lure in curiosity seekers. She's very good with the clientele, but her business skills are approximate to those of a 4-year-old with a $1 bill and a 5 and dime.
I think it's a...
Tongue's exile is
I
self-imposed,
think
I
it's the
assure
same
you.
girl.
But then, what reason would I have not to hate that loathsome Nosferatu scoundrel? Bloody Nosferatu. They're so unclean.
Why do you hate him?
He meddles in my affairs. He's a bad influence on my sister, and she on him. If you were in my place, would you let him compromise your authority? You most certainly would not. I'd quite like it if I never had to hear that name again.
Then you can put out the word in here.
Why would I do that? Let him think I mean to kill him. That way I don't have to worry about him sabotaging everything. Do you realize how his subterfuge makes me look to the Camarilla?
That's unfortunate, but I do need
I'm
to
not
see
sure
him.
the Camarilla would find that an acceptable method of dealing with one's rival. And right now, I very much need their approval to become officially recognized as the legitimate administrator of this city.
Oh, yeah?
Tongue and his co-conspirators' actions ruined my chance at partnership in a crucial piece of property. I do have several other promising ventures, and one in particular has been, to say the least, an ordeal. I'd be willing to put the word out that my grievances with Tongue have been swept under the rug, but in return, you'll have to help me remove a particularly burdensome spirit from a property I'm looking to invest in.
I can do that. You mean a ghost?
Oh, I forgot. You're still new to this. Allow me to break you in. Yes, ghosts exist. Werewolves, mummies, and I'd expect a whole lot of other things I've never seen share the night with us.
All right.
Rumor is that a personal item of a ghost's may be used to draw it out or excise it from its haunt. While I don't put a lot of stock in hearsay, it's my last option. So I want you to go to the Ocean House Hotel, find an item of the spirits, and bring it back.
You got it. I'll do it if you promise
Oh,
me
I
the food.
fully intend to do so. You'll find that dealing with me on the whole is appreciably more predictable than dealing with some of the egomaniacs that are my peers. So long as our business doesn't go sour, my word is gold.
I can respect that.
Before I forget, take this. The only way to reach the Ocean House this time of night is through a tunnel in the sewers. You'll need that key to open the gate for that tunnel. If you'll excuse me, I've got situations to set straight.
All right. Right. Goodbye. All right, guys. I think we're going to end it there. It's been fun. It's been a fun stream. But I'm yawning and can't keep awake very well. See, on the weeks where I have my kid, it's harder to stream because I have to wake up early in the morning to get them to school. So I hit about 11 o'clock and it starts to get me. It starts to fade out a little bit. But yeah, I had a good time tonight. And I hope you did too. I will be soon getting some videos loaded to YouTube. There will be another one tomorrow, and then I've got to spend tomorrow during the day sometime getting another couple loaded in and ready to go. So that'll be soon. And then hopefully we can get some good content out of the stream today too. So just be staying tuned. Please, check us out on a regular basis. And yeah, Have a good night. We'll see you next time.